Welcome back to the best division in football. I'm your host, Awthentik, one half of the left side, strong side duo. And welcome to the Super Wildcard Weekend recap. We appreciate y'all pulling up, man. All my day ones early in the building. Saw the chat popping off a little bit, man. What a weekend of games, man. Plenty of blowouts this weekend. I'm talking plenty of blowouts, man. A weekend defined by quarterback play, coaching, and defense, if you ask me, man. We got 6 games to go over here, man. A packed show. Definitely stay tuned after our show, man. I'll be dropping a link on my Twitter. I'm going to be chopping it up with the great Bad Dog around 10 o'clock tonight, man. So hopefully we can take this whole party, go over there and invade Bad Dog stream. This should be a really good one. We're going to be chopping it up, talking about the New York Giants and the offseason moves that we are expected to make here at the GM position and at the head coaching position. I'm sure that'll leak into the quarterback talk just a little bit. But without further ado, let me bring in the best co-host in the country, the strong side to my left side. The Beard is in the building. What's popping, my G?
The champ is here.
The champ is here, and tell him why you the champ.
The champ is here. I almost broke out my drums for this whole thing. I went 6-0, man. 6-0
Yeah,
this
that's
weekend.
solid. That's solid, solid picks. I think everything fell kind of in your direction, man. You made some good picks. No real, out there on a limb kind of picks, and I think you played it right. The big pick I think that you got correct is the San Francisco 49ers against the Dallas Cowboys. That was a bit of an upset for sure, man. And the Cowboys kind of fell flat in that game, man. But congratulations. You was telling me a little bit about the bad news and the pool of games you had to pick came down to the wire.
Yeah, the tiebreaker was the total points on last night's game, and I had 47 as the total points, and somebody else had 44. The total ended up being like 45, so the other person won. And I thought I was going to win when Arizona turned the ball over again, and then next thing you know, the Rams took a delay of game and punted the ball. I was like, you're killing me. But, that's part of the game. But, I kind of, I enjoyed the layout, the structure of Super Wild Card Weekend.
Same here.
2 Saturdays, 3 Sunday, and 1 Monday. I don't know how players probably feel about that, playing on Monday and during the playoffs and then having to turn around and play on Sunday.
I would like it. I think, man. You've already seen all the teams play on Saturday and Sunday. You kind of got a gist of what you got to do and who you're going to play against in the next round if you win. I think it's a good look, man. It gives you an extra day of rest. You can't forget about that. But as far as the Arizona Cardinals go, man, it looked like they might have needed another day of rest because they came out flat in that game.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. There was a lot of those sort of games where it's like, and we talked about this a lot during the season, where it's like these teams, if you don't come out the gate ready to play, there's only a select few of teams, and those teams are obviously teams that have powerhouse quarterbacks that can make up for that start. I mean, turnovers early, penalties early, just not all there mentally. It ends up biting you in the butt, and you can't afford that. And when it comes to the playoffs, you're playing against the highest caliber teams in the National Football League. If you make the playoffs, I don't care what anybody says about how you made the playoffs or what teams you beat or your path. You made the playoffs.
Facts.
Everybody else didn't. So
Facts.
Everything else goes out the window because the goal from the first, OTAs or anything like that is to make the playoffs.
Yep.
And so shout out to all the teams that did make the playoffs. It's not easy, obviously. The first time ever, 17-game season. So, just big shout out to all the fan bases whose teams did make it. Big shout out to Cincinnati, obviously. Their first playoff win in 31 years.
That's major.
I mean, I think they said there's only 4 people on the Cincinnati team that were alive the last time they won a playoff game.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. It definitely makes sense. 30-plus years, that's a long time to wait for a playoff victory. The one thing I will say about the format that's a little bit interesting here is that, most of the home teams, I think, or if not all the home teams, won their game, except the San Francisco 49ers, right? And then also the 7th seeds. They're struggling here. Maybe we could do without the extra team in the playoffs. I like that format because it does give teams a little bit more hope to get there. Or maybe make it something a little bit more interesting, kind of like what baseball did with their playoff format, I would maybe like to see like the 7th seeds play the other division or something like that, because you saw it in this weekend of playoff games here. The Pittsburgh Steelers completely outmatched. They look like they didn't deserve to be there, and I'm not the one that's going to say no team deserved to be there, especially coming from the NFC perspective. In the AFC, there were obviously some teams there like the Colts, the Chargers, that probably could have put up a better fight than the Pittsburgh Steelers. But talking with some people on Twitter, they were saying, the Philadelphia Eagles didn't really deserve or belong to be there in the playoffs. But then I asked them this question that kind of had them stumped. It's like, if it's not the Eagles, then who? What other team in the NFC would have got in? We can't allow the Atlanta Falcons or even the New Orleans Saints or the Minnesota Vikings. Those teams just really didn't deserve to be there. So I think with the Philadelphia Eagles winning 7 of their last 9 games to get in, that's a great feat for them. And I think they can look forward to some things next season. Just
they got 2 first-round draft picks also.
And they got a first-year head coach and a first-year quarterback to be able to come out of this with a playoff berth, not get the victory. They unfortunately had to go up against the defending Super Bowl champions, and that did not work in their favor for sure. This matchup was probably the most lopsided matchup of the weekend entering the games. Obviously some of these games went a little worse than it did for the Philadelphia Eagles here, especially in the AFC. We're going to get to that for sure, man. But I don't know. Maybe there's a couple little tweaks you could do to the format to make it just a little bit more interesting for the 7 seeds. But other than that, man, I really enjoyed this weekend of football. And, to have concentration on every game for me was very important too. Like, I love Red Zone. I know you love Red Zone, bro.
Yeah.
But to be able to just watch a game old school style, like it's on Fox or CBS, and, have to rely on the halftime reports from those broadcasters and not have my man from Red Zone. Shout out to Scott Hansen, I believe it is. He does an incredible job over there. But it was real cool to watch football in an old school format for sure.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into each game here, but there was a lot of shining stars in this weekend, and I think that's what the NFL, obviously as a league, as a business, wants to see. Is they want to see their best players out on the field doing best player things, and there were a lot of those performances this weekend. And I'm super excited for this weekend. I think that the way that when it does kind of go the way of the favorites in the first round, it makes the next round even crazier.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because now you're like, okay, there's no David and Goliath anymore. We're Goliath versus Goliath.
Yeah, this is gonna be top-notch matchups.
Goliath versus Goliath. That's
Goliath versus Goliath. Yeah, it's a little bit of a tongue twister for sure, man. But let's say what's up to some people in the chat here, man, and then let's get into these games. We got 6 games to go over, so this should be a pretty jam-packed show for sure.
Yep, and before I say some shout-outs, I don't know if he's listening or not, but I did want to give a big shout-out to the homie Cernoc's Connection, who's always in the chat rocking with us. His father passed away, so he's on his way to Texas to take care of the service down there. So if you're listening, Cernoc, we love you, brother, and our thoughts are with your family right now.
Definitely, bro. Condolences to your family, Cernoc, one of our day ones who supported us when we really had no supporters. That's a tough thing to deal with. Me and you both have dealt with that. Yeah. You dealt with that with your father. I dealt with that with my mom and my dad. Difficult to deal with stuff like that, especially in the middle of a pandemic here, man. So big prayers out to Cernoc one time for sure, man. Hold your head high and carry on that legacy. Like I tell everybody I know that loses parents out here, man, carry on that legacy and represent that name proper, brother, man. Hope all is well with you.
Yes, sir. Big shout out to Coach Taylor. He is the first person here. First in the building, Coach.
My man. He's working his way towards that wrench. Shout out my man Jameson Taylor one time in the building. We appreciate you being the first one, brother.
And big shout out to Kai 001. I remembered. I almost said KHY, but I remembered. Kai 001.
Big shout out.
Unfortunately, I know he's a Cowboys fan.
That's
but
tough.
you guys had a good year, man. It's unfortunate, but you guys had a good year and a lot to look forward to in the future. Big shout outs to Edward Squires, my favorite GQ name on the YouTubes. What's going on? David's in the building. Always good
David?
when David gets a chance to stop by and say hello. We appreciate it, sir.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Mini Guy's in the building. Tonyo Bots in the building.
Tony, what up?
Kareem Yee. What up?
Kareem in
What's
the
going
building.
on?
What up, fam?
I had to stretch that one out because up next was the heavyweight champion of the world. What's going on, brother? Great to see
What's
you.
up, fam? What's
No
up, fam?
Mets, no Nets, no Jets is in the building. Appreciate you stopping by.
Yes, sir.
Blaze
What up, fam?
the Kid, 12. That's a new name. What's going on?
Hey,
Thank you
what's
for
up,
joining
Blaze?
us. We appreciate it. Excuse me. Zach is here.
Shout
Dominic's
out
in the
Zach,
building.
Dominic in the building. What up, Dom?
Appreciate you
I
guys
didn't get to
stopping
check
by.
y'all last stream out, Dom, but I'm gonna definitely double back and make sure to check that out, man. Salute to Dom one time in the building.
And big shout outs to Joel. Appreciate you, brother, stopping by and checking in on
Hey,
us.
shout out my man Joel.
And that's a Russian bot. And E&A, we got time. What's going on, brother? Great to
What's
see you.
up,
Great
man?
to see
What's
you.
up? Good to see you.
And Mike Gorga is in the building. What's going on,
yes,
Mike?
sir.
Great to see you.
Salute to Mike. What up?
And Marjorie, always holding us down in the chat. We appreciate you, Marjorie.
Big
Thank
facts.
you, as always,
What's up,
for
Marjorie?
joining us. All right. Rock and roll.
You ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to rock and roll, man.
Early in the building. That's what I'm talking about, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat one time. Y'all know what it is, man. You rocking with the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard. All right, man. So we'll do these games in order of appearance. We'll start with the first game. We'll go with the Raiders at the Bengals. I'm just waiting to get to that Steelers-Chiefs matchup to see if I got to play principal here one time on Awthentik and The Beard. But the Bengals ended a 31-year drought Saturday with the franchise's first playoff victory since 1991. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow completed 24 of 34 passes for 244 yards and 2 touchdowns. He led the offense to a touchdown on the opening drive of the game and never looked back. Turnovers and penalties ultimately cost the Raiders the game, and a questionable touchdown ruling in the final 2 minutes of the first half put the Raiders in a 2-touchdown hole early. The Bengals end up beating the Raiders 26-19 at home to advance to the AFC Divisional round. Now, this was one game that you got right. I picked this one as my upset. Definitely fell a little bit flat in this one. I'll tell you my initial thoughts on this one. I felt like the Raiders' pass rush was going to be the difference maker, and I didn't think that Joe Burrow and the Bengals were going to come out here and pretty much play a flawless game. Both of these teams, I feel like, played to maximum capabilities in this game. I expected at least, a turnover, maybe 2 from Derek Carr in this game. Not scoring on that opening drive, not scoring a touchdown for the Raiders, I thought right there, it just set the pace for a bad day for them. They had 2 third-down conversions through the air early in that drive, and then it came down to a 2nd and 1 when they crossed the 50-yard line, and Darren Waller jumped off sides, and that's very unlike him to me. The drive ended with a 47-yard field goal, and the Raiders went up 3-0. And right there, I was like, it's not going to be enough. You want to take advantage of the opportunities that you get, especially when you cross the 50, and you got to score when you get down there. They end up settling for a field goal, and I also thought the first turnover was pivotal in this game too. Hendrickson's strip sack of Derek Carr when Derek Carr's in his own territory. Bengals take over in the red zone on first down, and that's just a recipe for disaster of how you start a game. It's surprising to me that the Raiders were in it till the end, and it was this close in the end. Third down percentages on the day, the Bengals were 5 of 12, and to me that gives you a lane to be able to win this game. The Raiders not that much better at 8 for 18. The Raiders pretty much beat the Bengals in almost every category. Yards per play, the Raiders were 0.4 yards more. They had 5.4 yards per play. The Bengals had 5 per play. Rushing yards, the Raiders outrushed the Bengals in this game. Very surprising to my knowledge here as well. 103 rushing yards for the Raiders and 83 for the Bengals. Passing yards, Derek Carr outpassed Joe Burrow. He had 282 yards on the day, and the Bengals had 225. The big difference in this game was the turnovers. Each team had 7 penalties on the day as well, but the Raiders had the 2 turnovers, and Cincinnati played a completely clean game. Derek Carr, if you've been watching Awthentik and The Beard throughout the whole season, you know about the roadmaps. 54 attempts is way too much for any team to win in this league. 310 yards doesn't look too bad. The completion percentage is not god-awful, but 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 54 throws, 29 completions for Derek Carr. There's only 3 other quarterbacks who have played in more games before reaching the playoffs over Derek Carr. So he waited a really long time. The Raiders did get to one playoff appearance while he was on the roster, but he was banged up during that game. I thought the Raiders did a lot of things right, man. I like what I saw out of Josh Jacobs in this game. The 13 carries for 83 yards, that's solid, 6.4 yards per carry. But you got to get that man to rock more. And I think the early turnovers is what kind of set them back. We always talk about this, like, what is the amount of points when you kind of got to abandon the running game? And in this game, they just got behind a little bit too early. And Josh Jacobs, he wasn't a beneficiary of that. Only 13 carries, but when you average in 6.4, he also had the 4 receptions for 44 yards. Darren Waller came back, had that bounce-back game. Without Darren Waller in this game, the Raiders they're nothing. I hate to say this because Renfro was relatively shut down early on in this game, and you had to rely on Waller to make big plays. And, I thought just time after time he was doing that, and he's really their only red zone target. Like, when you shut down Renfro in the passing game, who else are they really going to go to? Foster Moreau had a tough day. He did see some snaps, even though Waller was out there. I saw a big drop from Foster Moreau, some missed blocks on the day. Zay Jones was trying to step up here and there, and you saw it on that last drive where the Raiders were driving down by 7, trying to tie the game up. Zay Jones was one of the main targets on that drive, and throughout the game, he had 5 receptions for 61 yards and 1 touchdown as well. But, ultimately it just wasn't enough. And I think, had I have known that the Bengals were going to come out and play a pretty much flawless game here, I would have went with the Bengals. But I thought that with a young quarterback, I said this on our Thursday show, I thought that the experience of Derek Carr was going to kick in. But Joe Burrow's out here looking like a straight boss, man. He is looking like a veteran quarterback. And I started off the intro of today's show saying that, the Super Wild Card weekend was based on quarterback play. The better quarterbacks are left. You might put an asterisk next to Jimmy Garoppolo, but outside of that, the better quarterbacks from the better teams won their games. Joe Burrow, 24-34 for 244 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. That's the kind of day. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, that connection, we're going to see that for a long time to come. Like, he set a rookie record here with 9 receptions in a postseason game, 116 yards on the day, 23 yards on 3 carries, too. Don't forget, those came in some pivotal moments as well.
That third down conversion was huge. The end around that he had, I mean, that was a huge play in the game. That was one of the biggest plays in the game right there.
Yeah, definitely one of the bigger plays.
Perfect play design, too.
And lastly, the last pass catcher I wanted to highlight here was C.J. Uzma. 6 receptions, 6 targets, 64 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 receptions for a first down or a touchdown. For me, that's a day. Joe Mixon didn't even have to run the ball well. They didn't even have to rely on that. He had 17 carries. I like how they committed to the run. 48 yards is not enough. That's not going to get it done in the second round, 2.8 yards per carry, but he did add the 4 receptions for 28 yards. The Raiders battled, man. I liked how their defense made that big stop on third down before the 2-minute warning. Gave Derek Carr that one last chance. I hate to see a game end where the quarterback sitting on the sidelines doesn't get an opportunity to actually try to drive his team down. And Derek Carr did his best to get his team into scoring range. They do that. He even, did a bit of a flop on that one hands to the helmet play on the last drive there to extend the drive. You get down there, 4th down, pass incomplete to Zay Jones, and that seals the victory for the Bengals. But all in all, I mean, I think this game went kind of how we thought it would go, except Cincinnati Bengals, no turnovers. The Raiders, 2 turnovers.
I mean, listen, you really took almost everything that I thought that was super important in this game. Joe Burrow he's special. Now, I personally have been a big Joe Burrow guy, and everybody was cracking jokes last season because, it was because I invested a lot into his rookie cards. Yeah. But I honestly believe that he's very confident. For lack of a catchy word, let's just say he's confident.
A catchy word like swag, right?
Yeah, it's because it's that moxie, right?
Facts.
It's that QB1. Like, when he steps on the field,
moxie is
QB1
Caucasian
time.
swag.
Yes. Okay. So, Soxy?
Swaxy.
But, like, when he steps on the field, he's QB1. And what's really interesting is I heard somebody talking about how what makes Joe Burrow so good is his ability to connect with everybody on the team. And you see it in the post game in the locker rooms, and you've noticed it throughout when he was in college till now. Like he commands the team. He's a leader, and he
Facts.
does it through his play. And it's just for me to be able to watch where he is now after that knee injury is just amazing.
Quickly, I don't want to
think
jump the gun here and get to a next game, but it reminds me of Cam Akers off the Achilles. It's like, how are you right back to what people know you for that quickly off of a devastating injury like that? And let's not forget, the Bengals did not do any drastic improvements to that offensive line. Joe Burrow's been getting sacked all year, and he just has that it factor that people look for in a quarterback.
It's funny because we talk about it mentally. Like I'm like, oh, maybe that's why Daniel Jones, because mentally he's just scared, But then you see Joe Burrow do it, and you're like, okay, you can't be scared. You got to have that mentality, and Joe Burrow is definitely showing that. From the Raiders side of the ball, I just, the Josh Jacobs thing, it blew my mind. Like the dude was running the rock so well, and I just, there was just a lack of balance there between the two of them.
And then that's been a problem with them, I think, throughout this whole back half of the season, with the interim head coach over there.
Yeah, and I think they did a good job too. And as of right now, they're keeping him around. They are going to interview some people, but I think he definitely earned the head coaching job for sure.
I'd keep him.
Yeah.
Straight up, I'd keep him. You looking at an interim head coach like that, he comes in. This is the most turmoil I've ever seen in a locker room throughout the middle of a season, and they've really bounced back. Nobody had the Raiders get into the playoffs here, and what they finished like 10-8 on the season to get into the playoffs, or 10-7 or 9-8 or something like that, So for me, that's a feat for them, and I think it's a reason to bring back a guy who has shown you. That's why we call it the interim head coach. It's just for the time being. And I think I forget his name, Rich Biscotti or something like that. He he's done enough to earn at least the head coaching job for a short contract, maybe not a long contract. And they've got a ton of draft capital over there with the Raiders, and they're a good team on the up and up. You heard a lot of quarterback talk happening, as it always happens after losses in the playoffs, and people saying Derek Carr might not be over there, but I just think that would be completely
without Derek
silly.
Carr, that team is 3 and 14.
Facts.
Let's just be perfectly
solid
honest.
quarterback,
Nothing
solid
against
leader.
Mariota, because I love Mariota, but Derek Carr, to quarterback, and this goes back to the thing about Joe Burrow and being QB1. In order to quarterback a team through the turmoil in which he did, takes a special kind of person.
Facts.
And that translated on the football field. Those guys go out there, they play hard every single game.
And you see it, Carr's the kind of guy who's like audible, and he is an extension of the coach, like I talked about last episode. You want your quarterback to be that extension, a guy that players on the field can completely trust like he is a coach. And Derek Carr is that, man. It's unfortunate that somebody had to take the L in this game. I wish, this is why I was kind of talking about those matchups between like 7 seeds and maybe some 6 seeds here, maybe mix it up a little bit more, because the Bengals and the Raiders are both better than what we saw from the Pittsburgh Steelers and from the Philadelphia Eagles. These are 2 better teams. So it would have served them both better if maybe the Raiders played the Eagles, and maybe the Steelers could have went out here and maybe played the Bengals or something like that, instead of having to go up against a juggernaut in the Kansas City Chiefs. But somebody got to go home. That's how the playoffs go.
Yeah, and the red zone situation here, the Bengals are going to have to do better next week in the red zone. They were 2 of 5, and the Raiders were 1 of 5. And I think that was the big issue for the Raiders. It's just that all those, you got to score touchdowns in the National Football League. It's just no getting around it. Big shout out to the homie Nick the Wick for the $1.99 super chat. Says, glad the Eagles in Dallas lost.
Yeah, there was so much going around Twitter. Like, I don't know how to feel about those Eagles and the Cowboys losses, because Giants fans seem to get pleasure out of watching the other teams in the NFC East lose in the playoffs. But for me, I don't know. It could go either way, and it just doesn't bother me. I don't mind seeing teams from the NFC East go a little bit farther, because then I think it says a little bit more about our division. And our show is called the best division in football. I'd like to keep it that way, so another Super Bowl for them wouldn't bother me as much. And I don't know. At times, I find myself rooting for the team that's losing. And especially in that Cowboys game, man, when they were down, I'm looking at, like, Amari Cooper gets in the end zone. I'm like, ooh, I'm kind of rooting for him a little bit.
I want to see good football. That's what I want to see. I want to see good football. When my team's not playing, I am a fan of football, so I want to see good football. But I appreciate the super chat from our man, Nick the Wick.
Yeah, shout out NCW.
Before we move on, I do have to bring it up. There's going to be a few of these that will be brought up throughout this show during
The
this.
call?
The call.
Yeah, the call.
What do you?
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
These are my thoughts on it. The referees got it wrong. Whether they would have scored there or not, I think the Bengals go on to score anyway. I don't think that the blowing of the whistle early had anything to do with the outcome of the play. But shout out to Jackson Kruger Sports, who I'm subscribed to, and I watch a ton of his content on YouTube. And he broke it down this morning. He was talking about the rule book first, where he actually highlighted the section of the rule book that shows how this is supposed to be handled. Anytime an inverted whistle is blown, the play is supposed to be called dead. And if the play is not finished, you're supposed to replay the down.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the down get replayed. The Raiders have been on the short end of this stick. We already know a bunch of times going all the way back to the Tom Brady days with the New England Patriots. And they got that one wrong. And it's terrible because it put them down in that 2-score, kind of hole for that. That's how you win a playoff game.
Yeah.
You get up 2 scores. Every team that we saw, whether it was a blowout or whether it was a game like the San Francisco 49ers versus the Cowboys, the early leads, they held on to the early leads and then tried to coast to victory. In the San Francisco 49ers case, that wasn't it. They kind of botched it a little bit there late. But that's in the playoffs, an early lead is the best thing you could possibly get. That's the best possible scenario. The refs got this one wrong. And it started off wild card weekend really bad. The first 2 games had some really bad calls in it. I'm glad to see that they're taking their time when they're making these calls more now, and they're kind of giving a little bit of room and some gray area for the people upstairs to kind of chime in and be like, hey, you don't want to get this one wrong. Let's wait and not make the call. But in this case, they definitely got that one wrong. They were in the red zone already, though, so I'm not too mad at it. The Bengals probably come away with 3 bare minimum there, but it is what it is.
And what's interesting is that I think they came out and said that the whistle was blown after the play, which I heard it, right? And I thought it was because sometimes you can hear it. It didn't sound like a ref whistle. It sounded like a whistle that was coming from, I don't know, the stands or something like that, but it sounded a little weird, right? And then when you look at the rules, the rule is the rule, right? Like the plays should have been called dead. When you look at the timing of it, the ball was already out of his hands on his way to the receiver when the whistle got blown. So it's like, I mean, and then you see they were trying to say, oh, well, the defender lets up because he heard the whistle. Right. I just think the coverage was blown to begin with.
He really wasn't in position to make a big play. He's probably like 2 yards off the ball. It's just tough because you want them to abide by the rules.
And this is a great point right here because I feel like this is exactly what happened because if you notice more so now, they're calling it a turnover or they're calling it a touchdown because then that means it's automatically reviewed.
Going to get reviewed, right.
So it's easier to do it that way than to call it down or to call it out because that ends the play. So I think Zach brings up a great point that the refs tried to avoid controversy but ended up creating one. And I think you don't really could say it any better way. But
because the Bengals would have been upset. Their fan base would have been upset if the touchdown gets called back. But at the end of the day, if you could look at the rule book and go, hey, that's what the rules are, then you got to just deal with it. That's what the rules are. Yeah. But Zach is definitely right on that one too. And shout out to the homie El Jefe in the building one time too, man. Appreciate you pulling up, man. I'm about to make you a moderator. If you could drop your link to y'all channel in the chat because I know you guys are trying to grow your channel. Just started off with their YouTube channel with the homie Eli and with the homie Spiro. So I'm just scrolling down so I can make you a mod so you could drop that link one time.
Big shout outs. But I think this was probably one of my favorite games of the weekend. Just because I like to cheer for both of these teams. I like both of their stories, and I think the Bengals are legit. I totally do. I think they have a legitimate shot here. Their defense played really well too. So
this I don't know if it's because it was the first game, but this was probably my least favorite game of the weekend.
Really?
Yeah. Even though it did come down to the last drive, I was digging that. And maybe because I was rooting for the Raiders, it kind of, played a little bit of spoiler for me. And maybe that's why I didn't like it because most of the other games I picked, spot on except the Cowboys game. So, I mean, maybe just because it played a little bit of spoiler definitely wasn't my kind of vibe. Shout out to Nate Talks Football in the chat too, man. Appreciate you pulling up, man. And
big shout out to the homie Toothpack. I like that. As well from the First String Podcast. Good to see all you guys joining us tonight.
Yeah,
We
good to see
appreciate
y'all
it. Make
pulling
sure
up,
y'all
man. Go
check
subscribe
out
to them too.
First String Podcast, Nate Talks Football, and El Jefe. Drop that link, brother.
Facts. All right, let's
All
take
right.
it to this next one, man.
Let's do it. Man, ooh, this next one.
This one had the most like stuff in it for me. You know, this was a really good one. So, New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen had more touchdown passes than incompletions. Let's start right there. He was 21 of 25 for 308 yards and had a Bills playoff record 5 touchdowns. Devin Singletary's emergence continued with 81 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns on 16 carries. Can't forget about Dawson Knox. He became the first tight end in NFL history with 2 touchdown catches in the first quarter. The Bills became the first team in NFL history to go an entire playoff game without a punt, field goal, or turnover. The Bills literally wiped the floor with Bill Belichick and the Patriots and went on to win the game 47-17. Now, there's a lot of nuggets in this game. I'm gonna drop a couple. I know you got some nuggets over there too. I'm not trying to reach over to your side of the table. So I'm gonna drop a couple.
You already took one of them.
I'm gonna drop a couple. I dropped that one because that was the most obvious one, obviously floating around Twitter pretty heavy. Okay, Josh Allen is 2-0 in his last 2 games versus the Patriots, and the Bills didn't punt in either one of those games. That's pretty crazy right there. So he's been owning Bill Belichick and the Patriots for the last 2 matchups. Josh Allen is the first player in NFL history with 5 passing touchdowns, a 80% completion percentage or higher, and 50 or more rushing yards in a single game. Forget the playoffs, in a single game. The Bills have allowed, and I got this one during the game. This one was a pretty good one too. The Bills defense have allowed just 1 opening drive touchdown in their last 29 games, bro. So big shout out to Frazier over there, defensive coordinator, definitely holding it down. Josh Allen's passer rating of 157.6 is the second best ever in a playoff game behind a perfect passer rating from Peyton Manning in 2004. 7 possessions, 7 touchdowns. NFL playoff record. There's so much more for me to go over in this game, but I'm going to get your thoughts on it first, and then I'll come back and see what nuggets is left on the plate.
I mean, look, listen. They were unstoppable. Josh Allen was insane. And look, on Thursday, I told you guys, Josh Allen with his legs will set the tone. And it really opened up the door for the passing.
Before we move forward, Thursday, we got to talk about this. The weather. Remember when you were like, the weather's going to play its role, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, man, I don't know, man. These are some high-scoring teams.
Yeah,
one of them didn't score. It looked like the weather only affected the Patriots.
That 4-degree weather, they was like, all right, let's go. Plus, you know, my quarterback who was supposed to be my quarterback, but then it ended up being my quarterback who looks like my older brother was in the stands. Shout out to Ryan Fitzpatrick out there with no shirt on. What a G that guy is.
Yeah, gangster. Somebody was asking, was that like not allowed with, you know, him being an active player for the Washington football team or whatnot? This dude's out here rooting for the Buffalo Bills. And here you go. You got people giving Kadarius Toney flack for being at the Los Angeles Rams game wearing a Rams scarf. People are like, oh, look at it. Here it goes again. Here it goes. It's like, come on, man. Y'all the overreaction Mondays for the Giants is over, okay?
It's over. It's overreaction 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I mean, look, you had Stephon Diggs. They won their game. Or no, what was it? It was, I forget who it was, but somebody's brother was playing, and they were playing, also had just won, and they went and saw their brother play. And
that was, so I thought it was their mother, though. I thought it was the Kelsey's mom.
I can't remember who it was, but yeah, so, I mean, like, it's going to happen. Like, let's not make a big deal about it. But Josh Allen, 66 yards on the ground rushing. I mean, on the first drive, he ran for like 3 first downs, and it just set the tone because that's the one thing about Josh Allen that a lot of people forget about is his ability to run the rock. And it's a different type of running. He's not like super slow, but he's not like super fast. He's not going to truck you, but like he will give you the if need be. And he was definitely doing that. So a big shout out to Josh Allen. I mean, he kills New England with his legs. He averaging 6.5 yards per carry going into this game against the New England Patriots. So I thought that was huge. And Buffalo's ability to run the ball again. Like we talked about that on Thursday, how the last
Facts.
couple of games they've been able to kind of run the ball. When Buffalo can run the ball, it completely changes the outlook of their offense. Because when they're not running the ball defensively, you're able to kind of scheme against Stephon Diggs. You're able to scheme against, these guys underneath, Gabriel Davis and Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley. And Knox stepped up. The tight end play during this playoffs was spectacular. Everybody's tight ends have made plays during these playoff games, and I thought Dawson Knox stepped up. He does this a lot, and he made some big plays. Obviously, the 2 touchdowns on the first quarter.
Facts.
But, the Buffalo Bills ran the ball for 174 yards. When was the last time you heard the Buffalo Bills running the ball for 174 yards against New England at that? And we thought New England was going to come out here and run the rock. They only were able to muster 89 rushing yards, and obviously the early turnover after that first drive by Buffalo just kind of set the tone. 2 turnovers by New England. It's just kind of crazy to think about how amazing this Buffalo Bills offense was. And you look back on that first matchup where Buffalo just the 3-pass Mac game.
Oh, yeah.
And you think about that, and you're just like, to see where Buffalo has come from that, because Buffalo was up and down so much this season. And a lot of that had to do with that tough schedule early on, But this is the Buffalo team, the way that they played in this game, where you're just like, whoa.
This looks like a Super Bowl type team.
And this is the team that I think that everybody thought that Buffalo was going to be from the beginning of the year.
Do you think it says more about the Bills, or do you think it says more about the Patriots and where they are? Maybe they were a little bit overhyped coming into the playoffs, being that they were high up, number 1 seed for a while there. Do you think maybe they got a little bit overhyped?
Yes, I think it's a little bit of both, because I said it. I said, listen, let's all pump the brakes on the New England Patriots and this Mac Jones sort of situation, because the way that they were winning was just it was open to being exposed. To say, I think that's the best way to describe it. But I think also it does say a lot about Buffalo, because Bill Belichick is Bill Belichick. I don't care who he has, who he's playing against. The guy is the greatest head coach of all time.
Facts.
Okay? And so for Buffalo to put on a performance like this, to me, says a lot about Buffalo, because they clicked on all cylinders. There was no holes in this game at all, offensively, defensively. Everything was clicking. Perfect game.
This is a perfect game.
So I think it says a little bit about both. Obviously, I think that the Patriots were definitely just, they were overhyped, because when they went on that little streak in the season, everybody's like, oh, here we go. Belichick, Brady in the Super Bowl. I'm like,
here it goes, right.
They got to win at least 3 games in the playoffs, guys, because
with a rookie quarterback. Let's not forget that.
And still, he doesn't. What weapons does Mac Jones really have?
Kendrick Bourne has emerged into a weapon for sure. He had 2 touchdowns.
In this
One
game,
of them in real garbage time. Let's keep it funky. That was some garbage time. And at the tight end position, they got some playmakers for sure. But yeah, they rely on the running game. That's their whole thing. And the running game just never got clicking. You look at Damian Harris, who really should have been the staple of their offense in this game. He only had 9 carries. Ramondre Stevenson is normally the staple of this offense when Damian Harris is out of the lineup. So you would think with him running 3.3 yards per carry that Ramondre Stevenson would get more carries. But the game just got way out of hand, just too fast, for the New England Patriots there. And you really had to try to rely on your quarterback to try to make plays that aren't in his DNA just quite yet. Reminds me of the same thing that happened to the Philadelphia Eagles. We're not going to get there yet, but we do see on Twitter Jalen Hurts getting a lot more flack for the loss that the Philadelphia Eagles took over Mac Jones, getting a lot of scrutiny for the loss that the Patriots took to the Buffalo Bills here. So for me, I don't know what that says. Maybe they're giving him a little bit more leadway because he is a true rookie. Jalen Hurts only had the 4 games in his rookie season where he was the starter. But it's interesting here. I did see a lot of people talking panic at the quarterback position. There's either been people talking about firing coaches or talking about firing quarterbacks. In this game, I even heard people saying maybe it's time to move on from Bill Belichick, which I think is absolutely crazy. You're looking at a rookie quarterback who had the most wins. Yeah, the roster. But here's the thing, though. They spent some money. That offensive line is pretty decent. They went out there and spent that $30 million on one of the tight ends. I can't remember if it was homie from Tennessee.
Both of them, they spent like $100 million on 2 tight ends.
Oh, both of them got over 30. I didn't know that.
Both of them got
they
the
spent
bag.
the money. They spent. I do think they have a decent roster, but what they lack is who are we going to go to when it's crunch time? When you look at these
They need a
solid
star.
teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, they know, okay, if it's not Tyreek Hill, we're going to be going to Travis Kelce. If it's not Kelce, we got backup weapons that we'll go to. We could go to what's my homie's name? Mecole Hardman or Pringle in this game. You know, you got to have that. And I'm starting to notice this now. If you just look at the matchup like it's a 7-on-7 type of vibe, like a back seven matchup, you can damn near tell who's going to win the games. You could even go with the upset with the 49ers over the Dallas Cowboys. You look at the weapons, and yes, CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, that's super flashy. But when I look at the running back situation with the San Francisco 49ers, it's the exact same thing. You know who you can rely on when things are going not your way. You know who you can rely on. The Patriots don't really have that player. I like Kendrick Bourne. Who's the other wide receiver over there? Jacoby Myers. I kind of like him too, but he reminds me of a Darius Slayton. He's not supposed to be your main guy, your number two guy, or nothing like that. He should be a guy like a Cedric Wilson is within the Dallas Cowboys offense, but instead they're relying on him to try to make big plays when they fall down, and you know, they can't rely on their running game no more, being down 2-3 scores. The Bills in this game, man, to have a perfect game like this, and for it to happen in the playoffs, it's going to go one of two ways. This is either like the team that this isn't the team to expect, and it's going to completely overhype them, and then you'll see them go out in the next round. We got a fantastic matchup next round with the Bills, okay? And if they fall flat, people are going to go, what happened? That's why I asked you in the beginning of this, like, what did you think if this was more on the Patriots? For me, I think this says more about the Patriots. You know, you look at the game that they played. You talked about it early on in the season, the first matchup between these teams. They had Mac Jones pass the ball 3 times, and they won the game. That kind of screams that if the running game is not working, then what? And in this game, when the running game wasn't working, they really had no other options to go to. The Bills, I talked about how they didn't punt in this game. And 7 possessions, 7 touchdowns. They're the first team in NFL history to not punt, not attempt a field goal, not have a turnover. Dating back to the matchup in Week 16 that the Bills had with the Patriots, 13 drives against the Patriots, 11 scores, 10 touchdowns, and a field goal. Okay, the only time that they really didn't score, the clock stopped it and the half kicked in, so they couldn't get a touchdown. So they're dominating. Now they are becoming the new front runner of this division. And I felt like they put enough pressure on Mac Jones on the day. They sacked him twice. Or they sacked him 3 times, actually, and they intercepted him twice. And the rushing statistics are just so lopsided, man. You talked about the 174 yards from the Buffalo Bills, but 89 from the Patriots. It's not going to get it done. The Bills on third down, 6 of 7. They averaged 8.9 yards per play. I mean,
7 third downs. Every game we have recapped this entire year, not once have I seen a team that is only had 7 third downs. Never.
It goes to show you the domination, man. And I talked about Singletary in the intro of this game here. You know, the 81 yards on 16 carries, 5.1 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, man. I mean, like, if you can rely on him to be that running back, which I don't know if you forgot about this, but a couple of years ago, his stock was extremely high. Okay.
Singletary.
Yes, and then Moss came over there, kind of flattened out, and then they went to the playoffs, and you saw a team that really ran a West Coast style offense and really just neglected the run, but somehow found a way to win. I think they're one of the only teams that can really do that outside of the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously, who they don't need to run the ball that much either. But the Bills show you that they can get it done like this, man, and to do this up against Bill Belichick, this is very impressive, okay? The Bills became the first team to ever score 4 straight touchdowns to open up a game against Bill Belichick. That has never happened against Bill Belichick, ever. It's the second most points ever scored by the Bills in a playoff game. They won a playoff game back in 1991 against the Raiders. It was actually an AFC championship game, 51-3. And the 30-point loss is the second worst in Belichick's history. So you're looking at the second worst loss of Bill Belichick's career. The other one happened in 2003. So we have not seen this as of late. I think the Bills have put the NFL on notice like, hey, we are a Super Bowl contender again, but they probably got the toughest matchup coming up here in the divisional round against the Chiefs. So we'll see how that goes. To me, that's not only the game of the playoffs, that's the game of the year. That is exactly what people wanted to see. Maybe they wanted to see it a little bit later, maybe in the AFC Championship game. But to see these two teams get the matchup, I'm all for it. Cannot wait to see Patrick Mahomes and that Chiefs offense go up against this Bills defense, more importantly, who really, they shined a bit in this, but the offense just like completely took the spotlight. I want to see if that Bills defense is going to be able to hold up against Patrick Mahomes and the rest of that offensive attack with Kansas City. We'll see how it goes, man. But this was a very impressive performance, man.
It was. And I will say this. If you guys watch Awthentik and The Beard, you know I'm a run the damn ball guy.
Facts.
Every single team that won this weekend, excluding the Kansas City Chiefs, but they did use their running back in a different way.
Yep.
We'll talk about that. Every single team ran the ball at least between 29 and 38 times.
Are the Bengals on that list?
Yeah, I think they ran the ball 29 times.
29 times, yeah, because I know their running output didn't show up crazy, but they did commit to Mixon pretty decent in that game. And I want to say
the Chiefs ran the ball 22 times, I think it was. So, but
yo,
like
that kid, what's his name, McKinnon?
McKinnon, I've always loved him.
Dare I say he might open up some room to maybe try to trade a guy like CEH? Just saying.
Nah, because McKinnon's a lot older than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. McKinnon's been around for a while, man.
Yeah. He was with San Francisco for a while, right?
And Minnesota before that.
But he's not an old running back or nothing like that.
I mean, in running back years, he's old. He's older than CEH. He's probably been in the league for
29 years old.
Yeah. So
he's getting there. Yeah, I like him. To me, he was the most explosive player on that offense outside the quarterback. The dude just runs full steam like every play.
He was a game changer. Absolute game changer. But we'll get to it. But big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says salute, big boss Awthentik. Drop by to pay our proper respects. And for all Giants fans around the world, slam all the birds to the ground.
Facts. Shout out to the Bucs for taking care of business for the New York Giants, who are at home currently.
Especially for Tudo.
and especially for Tudo. Can't forget that. My man, appreciate you pulling up, Tudo.
I also see 11-6 in the building. Big shout out.
Hey, what's up, G Nation in the building? 11-6. When we do hit that 11-6, it's gonna be a great day, G. Shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you pulling up. Shout out to him one time. Did I miss the Malik Willis
I had to bring
yet?
this one up.
Not yet. Did I say anything about Malik Willis yet?
No, I don't think we have.
I have it.
Malik Willis.
Giants, go get Malik Willis, man. Yo, man, I saw, shout out to LPG, first of all, license plate guy. But I saw he's dead serious on Twitter now talking about we need to go out there and draft 10 offensive linemen. He's dead serious, bro. Like, Giants need to go get 10 linemen. Go get us 9 linemen and get me a quarterback, okay? You see it. The playoffs showed you. This league is derivative of quarterback play. If your quarterback can play well, you're going to win a lot of games. He's nuts. And running backs are cool too. But look, this is the thing. Running backs are cool too. But how many running backs got it done without a solid quarterback?
None. I mean, you got to have – listen.
Antonio Gibson's a great running back. Taylor Heineke's playing quarterback.
Yeah, you got to have –
not going to get far like that.
Guy.
You got to have a guy. You got to have a guy.
You got to be able to sprinkle the running game.
A little bit. You know, like I said, there aren't teams that have shown you that they can do it with a running back, but without the quarterback, Josh Allen has showed you that he don't need a running game. Patrick Mahomes has shown you he don't need a running game. So they're not outliers now. Maybe they are, but they are examples that it actually works. There's no examples of it working without the quarterback unless you want to say San Francisco, but I think Jimmy Garoppolo is like right on that cusp. Like he ain't straight up garbage. He's not like below average, but he's just right on that line of like, coach, I could get it done, but expect me to miss a throw in the third quarter or fourth quarter to seal the game away. You know, he's that kind of quarterback. But outside of him, which I do think the Cowboys had the better team, they probably should have won that game, shot themselves in the foot. We gonna get there. Quarterback play, man. I'm telling you, bro. Get you a good quarterback. And I tweeted something out the other day. I said, there's not many great quarterbacks sitting at home. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got Lamar Jackson, who we know he was dealing with the injury. Where else? Oh, Russell Wilson. I give you Russell Wilson.
Herbert.
And Justin Herbert. That's exactly who I saw. Which we should have just took the Chargers and just supplemented them for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this one. I'm sorry. To all the Pittsburgh fans out there, I'm sorry. But you need yourself a guy. And Pittsburgh, I think Ben Roethlisberger keeps things together over there. But, man, seeing him get sacked in that game against the Chiefs, he's literally like timber when he goes to the ground, dog. It's the slowest
Don't you
fall.
remember? I forget who it was, but somebody in the chat at some point, it might have been Cernock. I can't remember who it was, but they said Ben Roethlisberger is about as mobile as my refrigerator.
Yo, it's crazy, yo. Like, he's such a big dude, and he wears so many extra pads. Like, he got the whole, like, quarterback rib cage and, like, all these extra pads.
He looks like a retired wrestler. He looks like a retired wrestler.
It's terrible when that guy goes to the ground, bro. It's like, yo, he's getting sacked for, like, 4 seconds, bro, like, falling to the ground. I'm just like, this is crazy, bro. But that, Patriots Bills game, nonetheless, Bills definitely put on a show. The best show I saw. Yeah, the best show that I saw on Wild Card Weekend for sure.
Oh, we got a couple of big shout out to Tuto for the $4.99 super chat. Says we've put our team on the map with an exclamation this season. And we've been the most physical and dominant team who gives every team the chills to face us. Shout out, Tudo.
Hey, I thought Tudo was talking about the Giants right there, and I saw the most physical and dominant. I'm about to be like, yo, hold up, Tudo. Shout out to the rugby
about
squad.
the Tudo team,
The Tudo-led rugby team.
There you go.
Shout out Tudo one time in the building, man.
Sneaky G-Man jumps in with the $19.99 super chat. Says, my fault, you know what I mean.
Yeah, Sneaky just texted me, man. Shout out Sneaky G-Man one time, man. I used him as an example of how if you're going to be a hater of teams in the NFC East, you got to do it like Sneaky G. I wish I had the picture here on deck. My man went all the way to the Cowboys playoff game to hold up signs, dressed in all New York Giants gear, I might add, okay? And held up signs talking about how he loathes in the Dallas Cowboys pain. He had multiple signs ready. He said 30 years and counting or something like that. However many years it's been, 27 years I think it is. 27 years and counting. So if you're going to hate, make sure you do it like Sneaky G. You got to put in 110% like my man Brandon Frazier, okay? 1,000%. But shout out to the homie Sneaky G, man, for pulling up with the 1999 super chat, bro. We appreciate you pulling up, man.
It's 1999.
Facts. Oh, and I see our Twitch kind of disconnected there. So y'all Twitch users, better move over. Is that Twitch that just knocked out?
If it is, it's Twitch, because Twitch is the only one that will knock out. But
yeah,
it's
that's
showing
Twitch.
check mark on my end.
Okay, well I hope that's getting there, because on my end that thing was saying no bueno. But shout
out
to
to everybody who's watching us on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook, along with the
that's false
people.
advertisement right there.
What's false advertisement?
You shout out to the people watching us on Twitch when that thing just went.
Well, that were watching us on Twitch, it
Exactly.
will be once it gets reconnected.
Shout out to the people that was watching us on Twitch. Facts, man. All right, well, you ready to move to this next one here, man?
Let's do it. Let's rock. Let's roll.
All right, this is the first NFC East matchup of the two that happened on the day. The Buccaneers defeated the Philadelphia Eagles for my man Tuto, 31-15 to advance to the divisional round of the 2022 NFL playoffs. Tampa Bay has now won 5 consecutive playoff games and has scored 30 or more points in each of those contests dating back to last season. The Buccaneers shut out the Eagles in the opening half, marking the second time the Buccaneers have pitched a first-half shutout in a playoff game, and Tampa Bay's defense generated 3 takeaways in the game. Over the last 2 postseasons, Tampa Bay has notched 12 turnovers over the 5-game stretch. The Eagles seem to really never have a shot in this game, man. I mean, this one got out of hand really quickly, but I will say this. This Bucs team that we saw against the Philadelphia Eagles will not go to the Super Bowl if they continue to play the way that they did on Sunday versus the Eagles. 349 total yards, 4.8 yards per play, 4 for 13 on third down. Tom Brady was sacked 4 times, and they punted the ball 7 times on the day. So for me, they were fortunate to be able to blow out the Eagles, and they were fortunate to have a matchup against, if you ask me, probably the worst team of all 14 teams in the playoffs in Super Wildcard Weekend. And the Eagles just aren't in the same class as the Buccaneers. I mean, and it really showed here. I think a lot of people overreacted on the game by Jalen Hurts. He didn't play well in this game. The statistics looked a lot like Mac Jones. I talked about that comparison about how Jalen Hurts getting a lot more flack on Monday morning from fans across the country. He was 23 of 43 for 258 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. The number that stood out to me was he had 8 rushes, but only for 39 yards. And, you know, I've been wanting to see Jalen Reagor have a bounce-back type of game, couple of games, and it just has not happened for the kid, man. 1 reception for 2 yards and a major muffed punt that set up the Bucs for a score. And, you know, the Eagles' #1 rushing attack in the NFL, man, they just never really got that running game going. Miles Sanders, 7 carries on the day for 16 yards. That is just, I don't even know how to explain that. Boston Scott, who seemed like a guy who coming into the playoffs, you know, was definitely rolling, like the bowling ball you like to call him. He only had 1 carry on the day. He went for over 30 yards on that one. He had a touchdown. Goddard, you talked about the tight end play across the league, really. And Goddard was no slouch as well. He had 6 receptions for 92 yards. But look, this one just boils down to the matchups again for me, man. When you look at the Bucs, look at them offensively, okay? You got Tom Brady at quarterback, balled out, no interceptions, clean day, 271 yards, 29 of 37. They're dealing with injuries in the backfield. Fournette did not play in this game. Keyshawn Vaughn stepped in. He did okay. You know, he didn't do great. He did find his way into the end zone. 17 carries for 53 yards is not going to get it done in the next round either. Giovanni Bernard added another 13. So there goes your 30 carries that I know you wanted from the Bucs. Obviously, you might have wanted that from the Eagles, too. I'm not sure what roadmap you were trying to see successful here. But the matchup just doesn't match up right. You got Gronkowski, Mike Evans, who had 9 catches for 117 yards. I mean, looked like Mike Evans from a couple of years ago. And he had a touchdown on the day. And then you look at the weapons for the Eagles, Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, you know, Kenneth Gainwell. It just doesn't match up well, if you ask me. Both of us picked the Bucs to win this game. I didn't quite see it being a blowout in the first half the way it was. But, you know, I just think the Eagles really never had a shot in this game. And lastly, big shout out to safety Mike Edwards. He led the Bucs in tackles with 9 solo tackles. We're not talking about no assisted tackles. We're talking about 9 solo tackles. And he had that big interception in the game. Bucs dominate, man. I mean, I think this is what we all expected. No surprise here.
Yeah, I mean, big shout out to, you know, Keyshawn Vaughn, because I loved Keyshawn Vaughn coming out of college, and he kind of got buried in the depth chart, you know, and not by his own fault, but just because there was all these veteran guys that were ahead of him. You know, there was Shady McCoy when he was rookie year last year, and then Leonard Fournette comes in at the end of last year, and just, you know, so it just kind of like he kind of got lost in the shuffle, and then Ronald Jones was still there. So to see him come out and get a shot in the playoffs and him make the best of it, I thought was awesome. And then obviously Giovanni Bernard was great for them, but they need Leonard Fournette. They do need Leonard Fournette. I think that he's the key. And also Mike Evans. I mean, Mike Evans has got to be he's just consistent. The guy does nothing but goes out there and makes big plays. 1,000 yards every single year.
8 years.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a guy. He is a guy. And I just
last of a dying breed, I will say, too, because not a lot of wide receivers from that class. You know, he's the same class as Odell Beckham, I believe, 2014. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of wide receivers still around from 2014, 2015, still racking up big numbers like this. You saw it with A.J. Green in the Cardinals game. We're going to get to that, but he was one from that kind of era as well. Odell Beckham still kind of doing some things. You still got Devontae Adams.
Jeffrey sort of situation.
Right, Alshon Jeffrey was kind of in the mix back then.
And Mike Evans is just there every year, consistently doing it, and just had an outstanding game. Obviously, the Tampa Bay offensive line was banged up in this game, and they did suffer a couple of injuries, and we'll have to wait and see how significant those are moving forward. But that definitely hurt them, as you mentioned, the Tom Brady sacks. Listen, Tom Brady is a conductor. He's a magician. He's just a, commander. The long drives are what killed the Eagles in this game. Tampa Bay just marched down the field 70-yard plus drives every other time. When they weren't punting, they were going 70 yards. So it's just those sort of things just drain your defense. And then the Eagles couldn't run the ball. I mean, that Tampa Bay defense. Remember in the beginning of the year we talked about that Tampa Bay run defense, how good it was.
Yeah, number one last season.
it showed up in this game. I mean, to
Facts.
hold the Eagles to, what was it, total yards? It was only, I think it was 95 yards. 17 carries for 95 yards was the rushing for Philly. I mean, it really hurt them. And obviously, Jalen Hurts was a little off in this game. He wasn't there. And it turns out he was just not healthy.
Is that what they were saying?
He's in a walking boot after the game. Like that ankle injury never really.
Yeah, I don't want to use that as an excuse.
No, I'm not using it as an excuse.
He was running around. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying me. I don't want to use that as an excuse because he was running around and he looked healthy to me. We saw this as New York Giants fans. We know this game plan. This is the first matchup between the Giants and the Eagles early on this year, where, remember, I highlighted every possession from the Philadelphia Eagles. It was literally like punt, 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 interception, punt, fumble, interception, punt, 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 punt throughout the whole game, touchdown. That was it. The difference here is that the Bucs actually have an offense. The New York Giants don't have an offense, so we can only score 13 points. But I think, this is the recipe. 20 games in Jalen Hurts' season right now, that's the recipe of how you beat him. You force him to throw the ball. The one question I got is, especially for the coaching staff, is why is it when the Eagles cannot run the ball, they decide to throw the ball down the field, and they don't rely on a short passing attack with a quarterback who seems to not be the best accurate passer when it comes to throwing the ball down the field? They seem to throw it down the field a ton when they can't run the ball, which for me, a young quarterback like Jalen Hurts, you got to try to find a way to make the throws easier for him. You
got to get him in the rhythm.
Yeah.
Got to get him in the rhythm. That's the big thing. And then obviously, his receivers didn't really help him much. There was the one play where, and God bless his soul because he had a great game and he had a great season, Goddard. I mean, the ball, I mean, he was wide open and Hurts found him, and it was like a 30-yard play, big play, and a key point in the game, and it just went right through his hands. And then the muff punt was that was
terrible.
It. I mean, they had a chance. They were still around, But
who was the other quarterback I used to say? Jameis Winston. When he's playing with the lead, you be like, damn, perfect game manager. Dude looks like he could do everything. As soon as you get down by 10 points, he completely folds. And this is exactly what happened to Jalen Hurts. He's going to have to find a way to be able to, learn how to throw the ball or rely. We can't forget this is a first-year head coach. Maybe there's another alternative with a running quarterback like Jalen Hurts to be able to find a way to make him successful when he's not running the ball. But I want to address one thing real quick that I saw Ash Money talking about. Shout out Ash Money, and make sure y'all go subscribe to Ash Money if you're not subscribed to him. He's been putting his foot in this content game and being real committed, so I got to send a big kudos and a salute to him one time. But he says pretty much he doesn't see Jalen Hurts' passing game developing that much. He was telling people that he had problems at Alabama with star receivers around him, and they looked at me crazy. Now, look, this is the thing. That's the same exact thing people were saying about Josh Allen, and I'm not comparing Jalen Hurts to Josh Allen, but me and The Beard was talking about this off air a little bit. Josh Allen came into the league 2 years of straight up nothing. A quarterback who looked like he was mobile. Accuracy was a major, major issue with Allen coming into the league. You're looking at a quarterback who was 50% completion percentage his rookie year. He bumped it up to 58, I believe, in his second year. Now, the jump from second to third year, we got to attribute that to Stephon Diggs a little bit. I'm not saying that Josh Allen would not be the quarterback he is without Stephon Diggs, but I think that helped the maturation of Josh Allen. When you look at what the Eagles are working with over there, you talked about it yourself, Ash Money, as far as star wide receiver talent at Alabama. Right now, he's not working with star NFL caliber talent over there. We did some over-unders the last show, and we talked about Devonta Smith on over 53.5 yards, and most everybody in the chat, and us especially, we all pretty much picked him to be under that. So you're looking at the number one wide receiver for the Eagles with an expectation of not even going over 54 yards in a game. They got to find a way to get him weapons over there. I saw a lot of talk today about, the Eagles got, I think it's 2 first-round picks or maybe even 3 first-round picks.
2
first-round picks. They got to go out there and draft a quarterback. For me, I don't think it's not that kind of a panic time. We're talking about one playoff game. They just won 7 of their last 9 games with a guy who is pretty much considered a rookie quarterback. This is kind of like the same situation as Taylor Heineke with a bit of a younger guy here. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to become a great passer, but all this talk reminds me a lot of 2 quarterbacks. It reminds me of Josh Allen, and it reminds me of Lamar Jackson. Everyone was saying Lamar can't throw, he can't throw, and then he turns around and he leads the league in NFL touchdown passes in 2019, I believe that was. So there's always room to grow. We're looking at a guy who's dealing with a rookie head coach here first head coaching job ever. If you get this guy around a quarterback guru who can really Kyle Shanahan, or maybe, and I'm not saying Nick Sirianni is some super slouch at the head coaching position, but if you were to put him around a guy like Kyle Shanahan, and this would be an easy alley-oop for a guy who will be on a team for at least 3 years. I think it would be really jumping the gun to get rid of a guy like Jalen Hurts this early in his career after what most would consider to be his rookie season, 20 games in, and the numbers already look better than Lamar Jackson's numbers in his first 20 games. The Beard was talking to me about this off air too. So for me, it's like this. We all know, man, in the NFL, black quarterbacks, they don't get the shot that all the other Caucasian quarterbacks get. Will I say that it's racism or anything like that? I probably wouldn't. But whatever it is, that is a fact, okay? I don't care what you want to say it is. It's just a fact, okay? Guys like Josh Johnson can come off the bench, throw for 300 yards in a game, and no one's even knocking down his door to give him a job as a backup. Shout out to the Baltimore Ravens for finally doing that. A guy who's been a journeyman his whole career now, played on like 6, 7 different teams, okay? And then you got
12.
Guys 12 teams, okay? So and then
you got guys
who
like
stick around
Gilbert
like Mike
Grape,
Glennon.
Mike Glennon.
Oh, and Gilbert Grape wasn't as awful as people make him out to be. But Ben DiNucci, that dude was awful. Nathan Peterman, still in the league, still doing things. So for me, I don't want to snip the wings, I did that there, on Jalen Hurts this early into his career. I think he deserves a shot. When you talk about explosive plays in the NFL, he was number 1. The guy is the leading quarterback rusher in the NFL on the leading rushing team. He does some things well. He does some things bad. There's room to grow, I think, though.
Listen, and I know it's fantasy, right? But what is fantasy? Fantasy is based on production, okay?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts had the second most number 1 quarterback in fantasy weeks of any quarterback in the National Football League this season.
Yeah, and I like how you preface that by saying it's fantasy, but it's productivity at the end of the day.
Yeah, so I mean, it does kind of like stick in your mind a little bit. Like, okay, it's not. That's why it always kills me when people say he's a bum or he's trash.
Right.
If he was a bum or if he was trash, he wouldn't be in the National Football League. He wouldn't be playing in the playoffs. He wouldn't be the second most top-rated quarterbacks in fantasy for the whole season. I mean, let's just pump the brakes, okay?
Yeah, I think we need to pump the brakes. And when you see a team lose like that, in the playoffs, it's that lasting moment, right? Because now you're going to have to last with this moment of Jalen Hurts pretty much failing against the Bucs until we get back the next season. But this is what they were saying about him this season. They were like, oh, this guy's a bum. How many games did y'all predict for the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game? I guarantee, or to win this year. I guarantee you it wasn't 9. I guarantee
Definitely not.
Okay, I picked 6. I thought the Eagles were going to be at the bottom of the division. Instead, they're sitting there lingering right at the top with the Dallas Cowboys and squeaked their way into a playoffs in the NFC that was a very lackluster conference. But, hey, the better teams are going to get in. I asked people on Twitter, if the Eagles don't deserve to be there, then who does? There's not a team. I'm sorry. Maybe the Minnesota Vikings, maybe, but that's about it. And when it comes down to it, the Philadelphia Eagles won enough games there to get into the playoffs, and they did it on the back of Jalen Hurts. Where else did the offensive productivity come from? Yeah. Miles Sanders was doing a couple little things here and there. What's my man? Jordan was hurt for a while there, came back. And I think that kind of gave them some problems in this playoff game with the Bucs because you go, who do I go with? Who's the hot hand? Is it Boston Scott, who's been filling in for both Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders? Or is it Miles Sanders, who came back off the injury and pretty much had his best game as a pro? Or is it a guy like Jordan Howard, who we actually gave a bag to, gave him some money because of what he did early on in the beginning of the season? And I think with all that in the mix, they really didn't know where to go. In hindsight, it seems like Boston Scott was the hot hand that they should have really relied on and kind of used Miles Sanders as that switch of pace. Didn't work out for the Philadelphia Eagles here. Not the greatest matchup here, but I don't think that's any reason to say that Jalen Hurts is not, he has no room to improve. I think he's got a lot of room to improve, and the floor is super high. The guy can run the ball better than anybody. Tell me who runs the RPO better than Jalen Hurts. There isn't a quarterback in the NFL that runs it better than him.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting offseason for Philadelphia, and Tampa Bay has definitely got their hands full moving forward in the next round. Big shout out to Tudo for the $4.99 super chat. Says it's 2 a.m. in Italy. We're on the road for an away game, and we'll hit uphill at 4 a.m., 2 miles incline run, and work out in 30-degree weather. Is it cold in Italy? I thought Italy was always warm. I guess once you get to the mountains, they got a little bit snowy up there. But big shout out to Tudo. Says hard work always pays off.
That's facts. I need to invest a little bit of hard work in that in the exercise department here. I need to get on it, man. This COVID 19 pandemic situation just keeps giving me excuses to be like, yeah, but we're not going outside, you know? They do call it the bedroom body for a reason, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the home body, but we'll see, man. Tudo, appreciate you pulling up, man. You know what it is, bro.
Show from one NFC East team to the next.
Let's get it. All right. I like that white for the Cowboys. I really like that.
It's clean. It just reminds me of Little Giants.
Yeah, it does. Them Thanksgiving uniforms they wore in Little Giants, for sure, man. It wasn't pretty for the 49ers, who could not put the final nail in the Cowboys' coffin in the second half, but San Francisco came away with a 23-17 victory over the Dallas Cowboys in the first round of the NFL playoffs. The Cowboys' final self-inflicted fatality came when they got the ball back with 32 seconds to play and moved past midfield. But after a Dak Prescott quarterback draw, Dallas could not spike the ball before the clock ran out, and the 49ers went on to win the game and will advance to the divisional round to take on the Green Bay Packers. All right, let's get right to it, man. What's your thoughts on the final play, man? 14 seconds left in the game. Dallas Cowboys run a very sneaky draw play with Dak Prescott. He doesn't get up in time. Referee's kind of lollygagging a little bit behind. They don't get the ball set. And that's murder she wrote for the Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, listen, before I do that, because I will talk about that, the Cowboys shot themselves in the foot. 14 penalties.
How you going to just bypass the initial question?
Because I want to go into that. I just want to touch on this. All right, I'll answer it. Listen,
this
I'm not
guy.
mad.
You know how you give somebody the alley-oop and they just...
I'm not mad at first. I was like, okay, this is why? And then I was like, I'm not mad at the play call, right? I don't necessarily think the play call was bad. I think it would have been better if it was 4 seconds more on the clock. I just think it was poorly executed. Okay, they didn't think it all the way through. Obviously, you know, Dak probably could have gone down 4 yards earlier if they would have been able to run another play. Okay.
I don't even like this star like sitting over here on my side of the screen. I'm just looking at this like this don't even look right, yo.
But it wasn't as bad of a play call as people make it seem like it's the dumbest play call ever. It's really not. It's actually kind of clever, but I just think they got too cute with it. And it just was poorly executed. But because you have to know, like, if they talked about they practiced this play, right? So if you're practicing this play, you got to have a lineman, right, who's playing the role of the umpire. Because that's about as long as it's going to take for that umpire to get back to where Dak is to touch the ball.
In practice, they have referees at practice.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to have somebody who's older, you know, because the ref did his best, but he was 50 yards behind him by the time
he was when Dak gets tackled or when he slides, whatever it is,
he's not even in the screen.
He's 20. I have a screenshot
25 yards.
Of it.
Is it
he's
25
literally
yards? Right?
20 yards behind him. The play went for 17. So like, what are we doing here? And this the other thing. I don't know if you noticed this. I was chopping up with a couple people on Twitter about this. The umpire who was normally behind the linebacker, they changed that rule a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So now there's no one there because they were getting hit. So for me, I think you might have to go back to that because now we're relying, if it's not a play near the sideline, we're looking for a guy who's behind the play at least 10 to 15 yards to try to run up and spot the ball. I'm surprised this hasn't became a problem before today or before, Sunday.
Yeah. It was just poorly executed. Like, do you really want to go out on your sword like that? That's my question. And then it's like, okay, so you run that play, and what's your next play? Now you kind of like have shortened the field a little bit, so it's
it's clear what the next play is, bro. You're trying to get up there to spike it so that you don't got to throw a Hail Mary, and instead you'll be throwing like a 28-yard pass to the end zone.
Yeah, but don't you think that that's a little bit, somewhere in between those two, as far as like a traditional Hail Mary and then that 28-yard pass or whatever?
You tell me this. Would you rather have 3 cracks at it to throw Hail Marys, or would you rather try to sacrifice one of those to then cut it to 2 throws that would be under 30 yards?
This is the thing is that I don't think you're not getting 2 throws. You're getting 1 throw after that play. Let's say that play successfully works.
Let's call it one. Let's call it one. Would you rather have 1 throw from inside the 30, or would you rather have 3 from the 50? They were at the 48.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I would like to have 1 in between. That's why I would.
I mean, there's no options. There's no option.
No, yeah, there is. Instead of running the quarterback draw, you run a play, you get out of bounds.
This is the
and
thing,
then now you have a third.
I know everyone's familiar with the Minneapolis Miracle that happened, okay? And the reason why that happened, they play a certain kind of prevent defense that goes, we're not going to let you catch the ball on the sidelines. Having Tony Romo be the person who was announcing this game, it was incredible because he was breaking this down as it was all happening. And he said
but San Francisco was giving them the sidelines that entire drive.
Yeah, but then 2 plays before the play where they ran the draw, they switched
it up.
Exactly. So now you're looking at the sideline is not really an option. 14 seconds left. Let's say you go to the sideline and you pick up 8 yards, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's
you pick up 8 yards. You're still looking at a 40-yard throw to the end zone.
Yeah.
So let's get back to the real question one more time because I want to answer out of you. I'm gonna answer it myself too. Would you rather have 2 or 3 Hail Marys from the 48-yard line, or in this case, if you want to take the 8 yards reception and it'll be from the 40, that way you get 2 Hail Marys at the 40, or would you rather try to get within the 30 to then have a throw that's probably 25 yards to the end zone?
This is a question I ask myself because. Do you think that it shortens the field? I feel like it makes it more difficult to have that 30-yard pass than the Hail Mary. It sounds crazy,
right? That's the
right?
last thing I thought you were going to say come out. I did not think that was going to come out your mouth. You shortening the field from the 50?
What I'm saying is that
that's what I'm saying. I'm totally in line with what you're saying. You're saying that when you get inside the 30, you're shortening the field.
Yes.
Yo, you be smoking that back, bro. Of all explanations I heard about it on Twitter, I never heard one person say that you're going to shorten the field by getting closer.
Yeah, it's easier to defend that than it is a traditional Hail Mary.
If there was more time, if you had to worry about the short throw, but we're talking about 14 seconds left in the game. Did you see the last play, how they were defending it? They had 3 down linemen and everyone else back.
Yeah, so what play are you going to run there at 30 from 30
short
yards out?
Or short of the touchdown line so that you got to catch it and run it in.
You can't. If that ball successfully doesn't have the referee gets up there and they can run a play, that you have 1 play after that spike. That's it. 1 play, 1 shot.
Yeah.
So
but you're saying that it's worse because you've shortened the field.
Yeah, like what play are you going to call? What play are you going to call from there? What play are you going to call from there?
You can open up the playbook a lot more. I guarantee you this, they're not going to be in a prevent defense when you're at the 25-yard line. They're going to guard the line now. So now you can try, do you remember the Tennessee Titans versus the Rams? How the Rams were defending the end zone on the last play with the Dyson. They threw it short and he tried to run it to get it in. He unfortunately got tackled. A hell of a tackle by that Rams linebacker. I can't remember his name. I'm doing him no justice. But this whole concept that you're presenting here it's worse for you shortening the field. And
I'm not saying it's
crazy.
worse, but I'm providing the question. I'm saying that. Don't you think that in some way that it's a little bit more difficult to call a play from that position of the field than just a traditional Hail Mary?
Just think about it like this, okay? we're going into the half, okay? There's 14 seconds left. Do you think you have a better shot to score it from farther? That's the question you're asking.
It's
this is crazy.
That's why
you know how you to the chat, to the people, to the fam in the chat. You know how you're going through the game and you're like, I'm gonna present it like this or whatever. There's no way in hell he's gonna say that shortening the field is a problem.
I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm trying to think about it from outside the box a little bit. Like
that's what the Cowboys tried to do too much. Okay, that's what they tried to do. And I'll keep it real with you, man. When I first saw it,
you're not mad at the play call,
when he dropped back, and I saw him drop back, and he immediately hit that back foot and just went. I was like, oh, they caught them slipping.
Yeah,
I thought 14 seconds. You got to think about it. At 12, Dak Prescott is running. He's going. I'm gonna tell you the problem with the whole thing. Everybody want to try to blame the play call. Everybody want to try to blame Mike McCarthy. They want to blame Kellen Moore. This is on Dak Prescott, bro.
Yeah, he should have went down 5 yards before he did.
Bro. You got
5
to
yards
know that
before he did.
internally. And like, yo, I've been in a situation like that in Madden before where you try something real risky.
I
and
can
then
get
the clock
3
run
more
out
yards.
on you. That's the risk you trying to play. I think it's high risk, high reward, but I do think it was smarter to get closer, man, bro. Like you,
I think
don't hang your hat on that.
I'm not
bro,
saying no. I'm not.
Crazy.
I'm just saying that like we're looking at this whole play scenario from all angles, right?
Yeah.
My first initial thought was this is stupid. Then my next thought was this is a brilliant play call, but just horribly executed. And then I'm kind of thinking like, okay, well, what if they didn't do that? What are their other options, right?
Sideline throw.
Sideline
no
throw.
timeouts.
But and no time the timeout situation, just Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
Mike
But
McCarthy.
they were down in this game and they needed those timeouts on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, but then they didn't. It was
they burned.
Really
They did burn the one early on the delay game where he was trying to force a penalty and it ended up catching him. Yeah, for sure. There were some coaching blunders in this game, but this play,
I don't think
it is. I really don't.
And that's what I'm saying is that like if you could take it so many different angles, and that was what I was doing was just presenting the other possibilities and options here in the field of play. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it's just like. All of those things are going into consideration at some point, either in pregame, planning or in an actual in-game situation. So it was a very interesting call, and I think
for sure,
I don't think that anybody can sit here looking at it in hindsight and being like, it was a horrible call, because people are.
They are. What I noticed about people is
because it's easy to say
it's
that
in hindsight. Yeah, they like that. You know what I'm saying? Like in hindsight, that they know it didn't work.
Yeah. What happens if
stupid play?
What happens if they get up there and they let's say Dak goes down 5 yards earlier. They get up there and they're able to spike the ball, and then they get another play and then they score. That play is looked at as absolutely
Genius.
brilliant.
Oh yeah,
Genius.
for sure.
Because
oh my God, they caught him slipping on a quarterback draw. Like
and shout out to Awthentik's Twitter for the
Oh yeah, man! All those people calling it a quarterback sneak, man. Come on, dog. Tell me you don't know football without telling me you don't know football. That's not a quarterback sneak. So many people were saying that. I'm like, yo, dog, it's a draw. Call it what it is. It's a quarterback draw. I saw NFL players calling that a quarterback sneak. Come on, bro. Like, it's a quarterback draw. Honestly, man, like, look, I think it's the best call you can make in that situation. I really do.
Because nobody's expecting that.
The other options are so predictable. And the defense is going to play towards those. So you only got two options with the other way. You either got to throw it in the end zone with 14 seconds left. You're going to take up about 5 to 6 seconds. That's going to drop you down to about 9, 8 seconds left on the clock. You might get 2 more. You're definitely going to get 1 more throw at the end zone. Catching a Hail Mary for a game-winning touchdown down by 6, let's be real, that it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, right? We saw the Minneapolis Miracle. To allow that to happen after you've seen this happen a couple times in the most craziest circumstances, you can't allow that to happen, right? So to me, that was not going to happen. They're not going to catch a Hail Mary, bro, from the 48-yard line and go walk off the field. Oh, Dallas Cowboys. No, that's just not going to happen. So I think that this play call was very out the box. And some people going to look at it crazy. I like that Mike McCarthy stood on it, too, and he said he didn't say we thought that was the right call. He said it's the right call in that situation. I agree with him. Your quarterback has got to execute the play better. You get down around maybe the 27, 26-yard line, and you get 1 shot at the end zone. You know how many different route combinations you can run if you're at the 27-yard line? You could run a double post concept, right, to try to make the safety either play up on the shallow post or play on the deeper post. And if he plays the deep post, you go to the shallow post and try to get a catch and run into the end zone. I'm not saying there's high odds of you scoring from the 28-yard line, but it's way more odds for you to score from the 28-yard line than it is from the 48,
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I like the call. I think it's a great call. Chris Sims made a really great point on his Unbuttoned podcast today. He was like, when they used to go over situations like that, when he was with the Bucs, you had to have 18 seconds left on the clock to try to run a play that wasn't out of bounds.
Everybody was saying that. Everybody was saying that that's what the rule of thumb is around the league is 17, 18 seconds.
And when you look at it in theory, 14 seconds should be enough to run a quarterback draw and get back to the line and spike it with at least 1 second left on the clock.
But you gotta go. He has to go down at the right exact.
I would have maybe told the ref,
Too many variables.
before the play, like, bro, we're going to need you after this play. Like, okay,
Interesting.
need you. We're going to really need you to be on your P's and Q's here after we get down because this is going to rely on you. And then he ran into Dak Prescott. This the thing, though. The Cowboys were losing the game probably regardless. They played a horrible game. They shot themselves in the foot way earlier, had way more opportunities in this game to be able to capitalize and take over. And instead, they got dominated in this game. The running attack from the San Francisco 49ers was just out of this world. And I've always told you, man, Kyle Shanahan, this dude can do it with any running back. Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, 16 carries for 45 yards combined. You couldn't have predicted that. And
it's
Eli Mitchell
the
and
players.
Deebo Samuel, 37 carries for 168 yards. That's the game right there.
Yeah, it is. And it was interesting is I kind of took that and twisted it a little bit because I look at Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb as kind of like the big play guys, right? Like I feel like those are the guys that you want to get the ball into their hands. And between those two, they had 5 carries for 19 yards because CeeDee Lamb had 1 carry.
Right.
And 3 catches for 33 yards. CeeDee Lamb only had 1 catch.
Yeah, on
so
the whole day. He
between
had those
your
two big catches, man. And the penalties, bro. You talked about the 14 penalties before.
That's the most ever in a playoff game, right? Tied the record.
I think it's the
for
most by
penalties.
It might have tied. I'm not too sure, to be honest. But these penalties, they were a detriment to CeeDee Lamb. He had 2 plays that went over 25 yards that got called back by penalties. And every time you're just seeing him on the side of the field just completely just heartbroken. Like, y'all are taking away my big plays. And he was getting yak on those plays and everything.
And then on defensive side, the defense penalties, 4 of those penalties of the 14 penalties it gave San Francisco first downs.
Yeah, I mean, the referees did not do a good job in this game. I'll keep it funky because, like, there's calls that you got to just let go. There were calls that, they show the replay, and it's like hands to the face on Gregory. Yeah, I mean, he's like got his hands all the way up underneath the chin strap. But the San Francisco 49ers, they had 9 penalties on the day. So, I mean, you're looking at 23 penalties in one game. That's a little bit crazy. Third down was fairly even in this game. San Francisco 49ers, 6 of 13. The Dallas Cowboys, 5 of 14. That's really not going to get it done. And I think that, the San Francisco 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo, they didn't know how to put this game away. This reminded me of a Giants game where it's like, bro, y'all got the lead. Put the game away. And the biggest play of the day was the third down overthrow to Brandon Ayuk. This got the Cowboys back in the game. Cannot forget, this was a 2-score game going into the fourth quarter until that happened. And then you overthrow Ayuk on third down. It's an interception return for great field position. The Dallas Cowboys end up going down the field, scoring, making it a 1-score game. And that really got them back in the game. Outside of that, I mean, look, halfway through the second quarter, the Cowboys had 7 total yards of offense. You're not going to win a playoff game like that. And this offensive line, everybody in the NFC East, we need to get an offensive line like the Cowboys did.
They're
overrated.
It's over.
It's done.
It's over.
Okay?
They sacked Dak
and you know what? I'll
5
take that
times.
back. It's not over. It's just overrated. They're good. They're a good unit. They took care of Dak on the year. They're a good unit. But they're not that unit that people, want to proclaim them to be, like the offensive unit that was behind Tony Romo. This ain't the same kind of offensive line. Some of these players getting old. Some of these players just don't got it. Penalties across the board on the offensive line. And run blocking. You got to be – this team has to have an identity of run the rock first. We kind of got a little bit tricked a little bit early in the year thinking that, maybe Dak Prescott can go out here and put up 400 yards when he wants to. And that's not the case with the Dallas Cowboys here, man. You get a game where Ezekiel Elliott, 12 rushes for 31 yards and expect to win a playoff game. That's not going to get it done. Yeah. Amari Cooper being your leading receiver. You had Dalton Schultz out there with 7 receptions for 89 yards. Love the catch from Amari Cooper in the end zone. Just a fantastic catch. He had 6 receptions for 64 yards. But, like, San Francisco 49ers didn't do that much outside of running the ball. Dallas Cowboys couldn't stop the run, and they couldn't stop Deebo Samuel. You look at the penalty from Trent Williams late in that game, too. I mean, that was just god-awful. Negated a first down that would have ended the game. So, just play after play for the San Francisco 49ers in the fourth quarter to put the game away. They don't put it away. But I got a lot of faith in Kyle Shanahan, man. I think this guy, he's one of the better coaches in the NFL. He finds a way to run the ball. Saw this statistic that really brought me back. Arian Foster led the NFL in rushing when Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator in Houston. And Arian Foster was never really, like, He was a good running back, but he was not that guy where you would think he'd be leading the league in rushing. He wasn't a Derrick Henry. He wasn't a Dalvin Cook. So like this is my kind of football. This is like, yo, we're running the ball. Try and stop it. So all that scheme, all that philosophy stuff people be talking about, it don't matter. Do you got the players and know how to put the players in position to be able to run plays when the defense knows, hey, this is coming and you can't stop it? And that's exactly what the 49ers did in this game. Kyle Shanahan, man, I mean, I think he's very underrated. The one thing I ask myself about Kyle Shanahan is, do his teams have trouble closing out playoff games? That's about it. Outside of that, I think he's a fantastic coach. And I think in the divisional round, it's going to be an interesting matchup for them. And we'll see if they can rely on this running game again. But Eli Mitchell, man, 27 for 96 yards. Yeah, that's like not that great of a yards per carry at 3.6, but that's committing to the run and dictating the pace of this game. The Cowboys, if they wanted to win this game, they would have had to come out here and get the lead early. As soon as they went down 10-0, I was kind of like, that's probably a game right there.
Yeah, it's just – and Deebo Samuel, we got to shout out Deebo Samuel just because that guy he's doing it all. I mean, he has really emerged as one of the premier players in the National Football League. I mean, he's not a running back like he was, and he's not like a small, like super fast guy. Like he's a big dude, and they're handing him the rock, and he's got 70 yards rushing on the day. I mean, just making big catches, and it's just. This San Francisco team is going to be interesting to see how they fare next week. But I like them, and their defense too. Their defense makes big plays. It's a very well-balanced team. So this was a good game, and I think that Dallas just shot themselves in the foot. They could have won this game. They should have won this game, but San Francisco made the plays when they had to, and they took advantage of the Cowboys' mishaps and missed opportunities, and they won the football game. So it was a good year for Dallas. They got a lot of young talent and pieces in place, and I think they'll be a team that you're going to have to keep your eye on again next year. So we'll see.
Yeah, they got to find a way to get over that hump. I don't know if it has to do with Ezekiel Elliott. I will say that is one of my question marks. You know, you're paying that guy a lot of money, and to come out here in the playoffs and show up like that, you're going to have to fix something here. You got to either fix Ezekiel Elliott or you got to fix that offensive line to be able to run at will, kind of like what the 49ers did. But this the same thing that reminds me of the Bucs. Going into the next round, this won't get it done. 16-25 for Jimmy Garoppolo, 172 yards. 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, not going to get it done. Brandon Ayuk, leading receiver on the team with 5 catches for 66 yards. Debo had 3 for 38. George Kittle, 1 catch, 18 yards. It's not going to get it done in the next round. So they got to find some alternatives to their game plan in case the running game gets stopped, because I feel like that's what hurt them their last run that they made as well too. You know, they ran all over the Packers that one game with Raheem Mostert, and then when the running game wasn't really quite clicking when they got to the Super Bowl, that's how they fell short. You know, so they're going to have to find a way. Shout out to Travis Benjamin, who I saw a spotting of Travis Benjamin in this game. Big special teams contribution and had a catch on the day, too, for 17 yards. That was really good to see, man. But same thing for the Cowboys, man. Like CeeDee Lamb, you can't get limited to 1 catch for 21 yards. Cedric Wilson, I think, is going to be a more important weapon moving forward for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that might make a guy like Amari Cooper a little bit expendable going into free agency.
Michael Gallup is a free agent.
And he's coming off the big ACL injury, too, so that's another question mark for them. They're going to have to make some upgrades, I think, offensively, offensive line, maybe go out there and get themselves another weapon. The Cowboys have never been shy to go out there and get weapons, so I could see them doing that in the draft for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason for them.
Yeah, for sure, man. Oh, man, I feel bad for the Cowboys fans out there, too, man. That was, how the way that the broadcast was highlighting a lot of their fans, I thought that was a little bit unfair, although it was funny as hell. Like, dog, now I got to be a meme for the rest of my life. I got to be a Cowboys meme. The girl with the boyfriend crying, and he looked like he was crying. He looked like he was crying too. Now, grown people should not be crying over football. I got to keep it real.
The one woman with the I guess they were like sisters or friends sitting next to each other. They were here locally. They were like, that girl's from PG County. Cowboys.
The 2 black ladies.
Yes.
Yeah, they had the funny ones, and I saw them. They were sharing their like they saw themselves like being a meme across the league, and then you could see them during the game. The broadcast showed them, and they were like showing each other like, look, we're a meme. So in their case, they were kind of happy because they're not crying. They kind of just giving you like the bruh face. But the 2 people crying, it's like, man, now I got to be that guy. That's what man, I would have a lifetime goal to be bigger and better than that meme if I was that meme. I would be out on a mission trying to get mine.
I gotta re-meme my meme.
Facts. Forget that, bro. I gotta one that up. I can't be known. They put me down in the grave and be like, Awthentik, he was a New York Giants fan and also the biggest meme known in the Giants community. Nah, bro, it's not going down like that. I got more accomplishments to get than being a meme. But shout out to the 49ers, man, who big win for them. Big win for them. So
Yeah.
big salute to them. I think that was the only upset of the weekend. Yeah, only upset of the weekend. That's solid, man. All right, let's get into this one. I don't want to have to play principal with you guys during the intro, okay? Y'all know what it is, all right? Graphics department said, we're not changing
I get
nothing.
what you mean. Now I get what you mean when you said that. I didn't get it earlier.
Yeah, right? Settle down, classroom. Settle down, okay? Settle down, classroom, all right? Shout out to Waterfly who brought that to our attention, the graphics department with the being a little bit too graphic here. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers traded a combined 7 punts in the first quarter of a game that started as a defensive struggle on Sunday at Arrowhead Stadium. After Steelers pass rusher T.J. Watt scored the first points of the game with a fumble return for a touchdown, Kansas City's offense finally woke up and put up 3 touchdowns to end the first half with a lead of 21-7. They would cruise to a blowout victory of 42-21 to advance to the AFC Divisional round of the playoffs. For the 4th straight year, the Chiefs are about that business. All right, I got a bunch of nuggets I'm about to run through. All right, I'm going to try to leave some on the plate for you, but I got a bunch of nuggets here, okay? All right, the Steelers forced 3 punts and had 2 takeaways and gave up no points to the Chiefs on their first 5 possessions. Unfortunately, the offense held the ball so infrequently that the Chiefs had a total of 8 possessions in the first half. The Chiefs then scored 6 straight touchdowns on the next 6 drives. So you talk about like waking up the giant, no pun intended, they definitely woke up the giant. The Steelers punted the ball 7 times in the first half. The Steelers only had 44 total yards in the first half against the Chiefs and only 2 first downs. You averaging a first down per quarter. Terrible. They only had 31 rushing yards and 13 net passing yards at the half. In their 8 first half drives, the Steelers only managed to cross their own 40-yard line 1 time. That is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The Chiefs were 12 of 12 for 165 yards for 3 touchdowns through the air in the second half, okay? Ridiculous numbers here from Patrick Mahomes. 30 of 39. Yo. Dare I say this is the best quarterback play of the weekend. I know Josh Allen went out there and did his thing too, but 30 of 39 for 404 yards, 5 touchdowns. The only time a pass play was not successful for the Chiefs in the second half was when the Pittsburgh Steelers sacked Mahomes twice, okay? Patrick Mahomes put up 196 passing yards in the second quarter alone. That could be a whole game from Daniel Jones right there, straight up and down, okay? Jerick McKinnon, we talked about him, balled out. 12 rushes for 61 yards, 5.1 yards per carry. I felt like the Chiefs should have and could have relied on their running game a little bit more, especially when they got that lead. But instead, they're just like, they just trying to run up the scoreboard. They don't even care. And McKinnon also had 6 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown. Travis Kelce, 5 receptions on the day for 108 yards. He was averaging 21.6 yards per catch. 2 total touchdowns, because you can't forget he threw a touchdown to the big boy up front, Nick Allegretti. Fat boy on the line got a touchdown pass from Kelce. Byron Pringle showed up as well with the 5 receptions, 37 yards, 2 touchdowns, man. Like, this game for the Pittsburgh Steelers was a little bit puzzling because they never got their running game clicking, and it seems like they never really committed to it when they had opportunities early in the game. Najee Harris ended the day 12 carries for 29 yards, 2 receptions for -1.
And that was the hardest 29 yards he's ever had to gain in his entire life.
It's interesting how the Kansas City Chiefs front showed up in this game and stopped the run. Benny Snell didn't show up either. He only had 2 carries for 15 yards. And check this out. Excuse me. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they didn't have a wide receiver go over 40 yards on the day. Come on. You can't get it done like that. In a game where Ben Roethlisberger was 29 of 44, 215 yards, you don't got one wide receiver that went over 40 yards. James Washington, 2 catches for 37. Deontay Johnson, who we were talking about him as a number 1 wide receiver. Remember that a couple episodes back? 5 receptions for 34 yards. I mean, this is bad. Juju Smith-Schuster, shout out to him for getting back after the shoulder injury and actually getting into this game. Had 5 for 26. and Pat Freiermuth, 4 receptions for 25 yards. The thing about the Steelers is when they're healthy, when you got Smith-Schuster out there, their wide receiver core looks like it should be able to do some things with Schuster, Deontay Johnson, and Pat Freiermuth at the tight end, and then Chase Claypool. You should be able to do things, but their weapons just really fell short in this game. Got to send a big shout-out to and a big salute to Big Ben, man. This might be his last game. I think he went out there and swung the bat as much as he could, man. He tried his best to keep the Pittsburgh Steelers relevant in this game, but the Kansas City Chiefs were just too much, man. Too much offense in this game. You kind of thought that it was looking crazy there in the first quarter, too. You're like, whoa, turnover on a trick play here for the Kansas City Chiefs, but it just wasn't enough for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Patrick Mahomes just perfect on the day outside of that first quarter. I mean, he was just like, okay, let me just take this dial right here and just turn it up a notch on y'all.
Yeah, I mean, look, the T.J. Watt play, at that point in the game, that's the first score. And you're like, this is what the Steelers need. They need T.J. Watt. They need his defense to do this, help them out offensively. And it's 7-0. And then all of a sudden, it was just like, they turn the light switch on and turn on the lights.
Touchdown.
Boom. Gone. I mean, at one point, that Tyreek Hill play, we were on Twitter.
Who really wasn't involved that major in the game plan either. The first touchdown he got that got called back was amazing, by the way. And then he did the backflip. I'm looking at Tyreek Hill like, yo, dog, like, you really a star out here. You really trying to show out. But on the day, 5 receptions, 57 yards, and 1 touchdown, that's relatively quiet for a guy like that. And to think that the Kansas City Chiefs offense did this without Tyreek Hill really having, like, a crazy game is very surprising to me.
It is, but then it isn't because, that's kind of what they are. They, this year they've had to figure out other ways because teams are keying in so much on Tyreek Hill. And I think, Travis Kelce, huge game, 5 catches, 108 yards, 1 touchdown. Yep. And obviously, the Jerick McKinnon was the difference maker for me. In my opinion,
facts.
Jerick McKinnon completely, basically directed the pace of the game. And I thought that was what was important for the Chiefs because what you saw was we talked about this before, rhythm. Once they got in that rhythm and that speed of the game was just too fast for Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's offensive line is just it's not very good. And Najee Harris was literally doing everything he possibly could. But, I mean, you basically told us all of the reasons why Kansas City won, and I can only tell you the reasons why Pittsburgh lost. And it was because they had 39 total yards in the first half. They were 7 of 16 on third down, and they ran for 56 yards the entire game. You cannot beat the Kansas City Chiefs if you run the ball for 56 yards.
I would love to see the carries by quarter because why are they not relying on that running game in that first quarter heavy? And these numbers wouldn't even be enough for a quarter for me when you look at Najee Harris and Benny Snell's
touches.
carries. 14 total? Like, what are we doing?
I think they hit the panic button a little early.
Yeah, they probably did. Even down 21-7 at the half, you should come out and commit to the run.
Yeah, it's just – and that second quarter was brutal for the Steelers. They put up 21 points in the second quarter, the Chiefs did, right?
21 in the second quarter, 196 passing yards from Patrick Mahomes in that second quarter. But, still, you're looking at that like, yeah, they're clicking. All it takes is one drive to get back into the game and cut it to a one-score game.
One-score game.
Their identity is not passing the ball. And, I hate to say this, right, but the Pittsburgh Steelers offense, it really reminds me of the New York Giants offense. Like, when you see Ben Roethlisberger, the style of throws that he does, it's a bunch of out routes and a bunch of comeback routes. It's a bunch of short stuff. And they're not threatening throwing it down the field.
Yeah, because he just doesn't have the time.
That's true. That's why I say it reminds me of the New York Giants.
Yeah, so it's just it's tough to go out like that for Big Ben. They had a good run though, and they made the playoffs. Mike Tomlin's a fantastic coach, so I'm sure they're going to find a way to bounce back. Next season, and
man,
they're
going to
have to figure out that quarterback position.
They probably draft
Shout out Dwayne Haskins. Maybe it's the second coming of Haskins. We'll see.
They won't go in. But they won't go into the season with no Dwayne Haskins as the starter. You best believe that. You can book it, as my man Entertainer would say. There's no way they're going with Haskins. I mean, even when they had to go to quarterback 2 this year, they went to the other kid, Mason Rudolph, who, he's at best he's a backup.
And I think everybody wanted to see this Kansas City. I mean, they were having fun. They were having fun.
They were having a lot of fun.
So it's good to see. listen, you got the two best quarterback performances of Super Wildcard Weekend are now going up against each other in the divisional.
I'm
round.
worried for Patrick Mahomes because I feel like the Buffalo Bills defense has the one up on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Buffalo Bills defense is pretty much number one in every passing statistic for defenses in the NFL right now. Chiefs, not so much. So, I know the Chiefs got firepower on offense, but what are they going to do if the Bills are able to, kind of contain that a bit? And this becomes a sloppy game, which is what I kind of imagine. Maybe a game that's going to be around like the 20, something like that, like a 24-17. 21-17 kind of vibe. We'll see. That Bills defense is no joke right now, man. They're definitely balling out.
So wait, but Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen combined for more touchdown passes this weekend than the Giants had all season, right?
No, 10. We had more touchdowns than 10. Passing, or are you talking about total or what?
Passing.
Let me see. Mike Glennon did have one passing touchdown, and Daniel Jones had 10. So we had more than 10. And Jake Fromm threw one there late. Yeah, we probably had about a good 14 passing touchdowns, 15 passing touchdowns on the year.
Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, head-to-head next weekend.
That's going to be a fun one. Early pick. Who you picking? Early pick right now. You can change your mind as much as you want.
So tough. I'm going to go Buffalo Bills.
Nice. I'm going Kansas City Chiefs. Early pick. I think the Chiefs' weapons. I think offensively, their weapons are going to be crazy. But the Bills defense gives them a shot.
the way Buffalo's running the ball. So I mean, maybe we'll see what happens with Kansas City. It's in Kansas City. That's always a plus. Home game in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's tough. That's going to be tough. It's going to be a good game.
That's going to be a good one. I wonder who's going to be the favorite and what the line's going to be too coming out.
Probably going to be three points. Kansas City's probably going to be 3-point favorites. The line's probably already out right now.
Oh, yeah, the line is probably out.
What do you think the line is?
I'd say right around where you got it, maybe 2.5 for Kansas City.
Let's see. Really fast.
Do it. You good. Guys. You good. Shout out my man Kai 001 one time. He says he's got Green Bay versus the Bills in the Super Bowl. I like that pick, too. Them Rams, man. Them Rams showed out. With Cam Akers back with the Rams, I'm like, oh, is their stock rising? I'm not too sure, but Green Bay was definitely my favorite, and I had Kansas City entering the playoffs, but we'll see.
Kansas City's 2.5-point favorites right now.
Over-under already listed? Don't say it if it is.
That?
Is the over-under listed?
Yes.
I'm going to go 49.
Higher.
Ooh, 54.
Higher.
Golly, 58.
If it's 55. It's the highest over-under of the weekend. Early lines right now, Tampa Bay is a 3-point favorite over L.A. Green Bay is a 6-point favorite over San Francisco. Tennessee is a 3.5-point favorite over Cincinnati.
I like the Bengals better in that game. The Bengals offense is definitely on fire.
Make sure you guys tune in. Next show. We're going to be going over those games.
We're going to be doing them previews for sure. Make sure y'all check us out. All right, so what we got? One more game?
One more game.
Don't forget, y'all, tonight I'm going to be going over to Bad Dog's channel, chopping it up with him, talking about the New York Giants and the state of the franchise right now, head coaching, all that, GM, all that good stuff. So when we're done here, about 9:45, 10 o'clock, make sure y'all pull up. I'll be making sure to put that link out on my Twitter. All right, last game of the weekend. All right, Stafford threw for 202 yards and 2 scores while the Rams defense forced 2 turnovers in a dominant, I'm talking dominant, 34-11 victory. For the 3rd time in 4 seasons, the Rams will advance to the divisional round of the playoffs. Now, I saw this on Twitter, and I got to bring this up right away to start this segment off, okay? Cliff Kingsbury, who a lot of people want to put on the hot seat after the loss to the Rams on Monday night. That was a fun game to watch, man. But Cliff Kingsbury, to end his season, he has collapsed a lot as a head coach. I'm going to date this all the way back, every season, all the way back to 2013 with Texas Tech, okay? Check this out. In 2013, he lost 5 of his last 6. In 14, 4 of his last 6. In 15, 4 of his last 6. In 2016, 6 of his last 8. In 2017, 6 of his last 8. And in 2018, he lost 5 of his last 5, all of those at Texas Tech. Then he becomes the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals in 2019. He lost 7 of his last 9. In 2020, he lost 5 of his last 7, and in 2021, he lost 5 of his last 6. That is not a good look. I don't know who dug this up, but I found this in a tweet, and you talking about a coach who has completely collapsed for 10 years, it's looking like here. The Rams have now beat the Cardinals 10 of the last 11 times. I told you that was the number one reason why I was picking the Rams in this matchup, because going into this game, they've won 9 of the last 10 games. Kyler Murray, bro, I don't want to put this all on his shoulders, but he looked exactly the same as he looked when they didn't have DeAndre Hopkins. All right, you remember when he was a rookie running around like a chicken with his head cut off? Yeah, he was making some plays here and there, but I wasn't looking at him quite like a franchise quarterback until DeAndre Hopkins got over there. 3rd down for the Cardinals, 0 for 9, bro. They were 0 for 7 in the first half. 0 for 9 on 3rd down. The Rams were right around 50%, 6 of 13. The Cardinals had 7 penalties for 50 yards. Now, the running backs for the Rams, man, I really think they showed out and showed up in this game. The numbers really don't dictate how, powerful this running game was for the Rams. They committed to it, too. You're talking 30 carries for Cam Akers and Sony Michel on the day, 58 yards for Sony Michel, 55 yards for Cam Akers. You're talking about a guy who just tore his Achilles this season, okay? We're not talking about last season. Achilles injuries be knocking people out for a year and a half. This dude is back in the playoffs with a vengeance. And y'all know me, man. Hold on. Let's go full screen real quick. Shout out my guy, Nick the Wick, one time with the signed Odell Beckham jersey back there one time. Y'all know what it is. My guy went off in this game, man. Threw a monstrous 40-yard pass to Cam Akers. Had the fade route touchdown. Beautiful fade route, man. Got to give big props to the homie, Odell Beckham, man. And it seems like his career is revived here with the Rams, man. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer that he's going to have a contract next season. He had the 4 receptions for 54 yards. Him and Matt Stafford are, when things are clicking for them, it looks really good. It's when things start to go wrong is when you start to question what's going on over there. Cooper Kupp relatively didn't do anything in this game as far as leading to the blowout. And then in the second half late, kind of got some garbage time stats there. He ended with 5 receptions for 61 yards and a beautiful touchdown catch, man. That out route where Matthew Stafford had to deliver the ball a little bit early kind of caught Cooper just as he was coming out of his break. Cooper's getting his eyes turned around and has the awareness to just get his hands down low and get that ball caught for a touchdown. Beautiful play. I'll tell you what, man, in this game, I knew it was over when David Long Jr. had that pick 6. When you saw Kyler Murray panic when he really shouldn't have panicked, he kind of got hit and then just went, and just like threw the ball. Like, you're looking at it like, yo, you might have been able to just like stay up and make the play. You know what it reminds me of? There's a play, oh man, I'm not going to remember who they were playing, right? But Deshaun Watson has this infamous play in the playoffs that put away a team in the playoffs. I can't remember what exact game it was, but he was about to get sacked from 2 sides. 2 players were coming at Deshaun Watson from both ends, right? And he like got sandwiched in between them, stayed up, rolled out, made like a little short, 5-yard throw, and I forget who caught the ball. He ran for like a good 50 yards and got them in the scoring range to then end the game, right? I felt like Kyler Murray could have did the same thing here. It's like, because he's such a small stature quarterback, when the pressure gets to him, you see the panic. There was one time there where he got sacked close to the end zone on the drive before that. He looked like he was breakdancing, bro. He like spun on the ground and then did like a little head spin on the ground. And I'm looking at him like, yo, you need to calm down. Now, I do believe this was his first playoff game.
Yes.
You know, so there's the jitters there. And it was also Cliff Kingsbury's first playoff game, too. He had a perfect 500 record going into this game with 1 tie, and I believe it was like 20 or 21 wins and losses apiece. So, you know, the same thing goes for them that goes for the Eagles here, okay? You're looking at a young coach and a young quarterback here who really just weren't ready for the spotlight. And what are you going to do when you can't rely on the running game? James Conner and Chase Edmonds, I mean, those numbers look, I might have been able to go out there and get you a good 19
total
yards
between the two of them. 52 total
That's
yards
awful.
between the two of them. They're so pivotal to that offense. You
Especially
gotta
when you
find
don't got
a way.
DeAndre Hopkins, bro.
You gotta find a way to get them the ball. Chase Edmonds had 0 catches.
0. Yeah, and A.J. Green, 0 catches. Zach Ertz, pretty much not a factor in this game. 3 receptions for 21 yards. It all starts at the quarterback position. When you see 19 of 34, you know you didn't win that game. 19 of 34 ain't going to get it done. 2 interceptions for only 137 yards. This is probably the worst quarterback performance of the weekend, if not one of them. I don't know where to start with the Cardinals because you might need depth at your playmaker position here on offense because when D-Hop goes down, now it looks like Zach Ertz kind of takes a hit there because now he's got to be a security blanket for the quarterback. Kyler Murray's not the kind of guy who's going to stand in the pocket. He makes some of his better throws when he makes the first move in the pocket, leans out of the pocket, and then looks down the field. I'm starting to wonder, man, if his height is going to be an issue. We know historically short quarterbacks don't get it done. I saw something that said it was like a meme, right? And it said Kyler Murray when the defense makes a stop on 3rd down. And it showed Ted, the little teddy bear, jumping off the couch and just running into the living room or something. I was like, yo, y'all are dirty for sure. But I just, when you get to the playoffs, this is the best of the best. And what are you going to do when your game plan or your backbone falls apart? You got to have a backup plan, and that's where I put a lot of this on Cliff Kingsbury. He didn't have a backup game plan.
I think that's one of the best points of the entire night because it's so true. And you know what this game reminded me of? This game reminded me of what Bill Belichick did to Sean McVay in the Super Bowl.
Right.
When Sean McVay was the offensive genius and the Rams were just crazy on offense and they were going to come in here and they were going to put up all these points in the Super Bowl. And that Super Bowl was like, what was it, like 12-6 or something like that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it was something low, yep.
Something very low like that. But that's what this reminded me of. It reminded me, it's just, I think there's no other reasoning for me because I think the Cardinals have tons of weapons, but they just could not, like you said, there just was no backup plan for, they thought they were going to be able to go out there and do the things that they normally do. And
Right.
the Rams defense, which has kind of been inconsistent this year, but has some of the best defensive players in the entire National Football League, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they were hurting at safety position so much so that they went out and signed Eric Weddle, who hasn't played a football game in 2 years.
Shout out to him. He was talking about how he got his endurance back from playing in a co-ed basketball league or something like that. So shout out to Weddle for getting out there, man. And the Rams defense, they definitely showed up too, man. Shout out Von Miller, who led the Rams in tackles on the day too. I can't remember exactly how many it was. I think it was like 7 tackles he led them with on the day. So that looks to be another great acquisition that they could bring in and maybe extend him to another contract next year as well. But like when you look at a coach falling apart as much as Cliff Kingsbury has fell apart in the last couple of years, losing 5 of your last 6, you got to find a way to go into the playoffs with momentum, and I think the Cowboys suffered from this same exact problem. But the thing with the Cowboys is they weren't playing high competition. So they're looking at it like, we're winning games going into the playoffs, but not impressively. And the Cardinals suffer from the same exact problem here. You lose 5 of your last 6. Nobody's expecting you to go out there and beat the Rams, who are spending all this money in free agency and bringing in all these high-profile players when they have a roster that looks a bit like a Pro Bowl roster. They have great people at great positions. And Aaron Donald, the dude was a force all day. I love how he's so scrappy, too. You saw when he got into the little fight with the linemen and whatnot. He's grabbing face masks. He knows one penalty is not going to knock him out the game, and I've seen him do this on multiple occasions where he gets that first penalty, and you don't got to worry about him getting kicked out the game.
No, you don't. And listen, it comes down to so much of it is coaching because the first half, like you could have came out in the second half and at least put up a fight, right? Because the first half, Arizona's offense, 30 yards, 2 interceptions, 5 punts.
Awful.
You just can't do it. And what did the Rams do? Matthew Stafford only threw the ball 17 times, was it? The Rams ran for the magical number of 38 rushes in this game. 38 rushes. And I listen, teams that can do it if they need to or if the game allows them to and are able to be successful at it, it's such a great thing to have in your bag. And Cam Akers, who we absolutely love at Awthentik and The Beard. I have been a Cam Akers guy for so long. It is just amazing. It's a great story. I think this team, they hit a couple of rough patches, but I really, really like this Rams team. I think that they all kind of have a chip on their shoulder because of the pressure. because of the fact that Odell's here and Von's here. And let's not forget, the acquisition to get Sony Michel when Cam Akers went down
That was smart.
might be the biggest acquisition of them all.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
what is it? Daryl Henderson is on IR right now
IR.
too, so that it looks even a better pickup. Cam Akers coming back, which I know they didn't expect that halfway through the season, but to have him back for the playoffs, I mean, and I got to bring some attention to this too. Prayers out to Buda Baker. I saw him tweet out. He said
on
he's
the
doing
airplane,
well.
it's good.
That's amazing. But when you see the ferociousness that Cam Akers is running the ball with, when he took his helmet off, I was like, is that schoolboy Q? He was mugging. He had a face like, I will run you over. He's more of a physical running back than I could ever have imagined. I thought as a rookie he was more of like a like a
DeAndre Swift, like it's kind of
yeah,
like
a
shifty,
scat back, run around
scat
fast,
back,
like a
like a lot
style.
of these guys are. Yeah.
But he's a power back, man. He can lower the shoulder and get those yards, man. You saw it on that play with Buda Baker. I mean, he just straight ran through him. And it's good to see that Buda Baker, didn't deal with no real, especially neck injuries or anything like that that's gonna, mess up some of his movement, upper body movement and whatnot. Good to see that he's all right. But Cam Akers, man, that to have him back now, that gives me that's like the cherry on top for the Rams right now. I'm just worried about, like I said, when they get into the turmoil and they get some problems going. What about when Odell Beckham is not clicking? Is he going to be a problem for him on the field?
They get behind early, like
Right.
we talked about. That's one of the things I think I'm going to take away from a lot this season too. Is I feel like that's a point that has been hammered a lot this season on this show. Is it's difficult if you get behind early, and I think we saw that
Especially
a lot this
in the
weekend.
playoffs. Especially, Keyshawn Johnson was saying this on his show with Max and what's my homie that plays
Jason
ball?
Williams?
Jason Williams, yeah. He was saying this. He was like, you got practice speed, you got regular speed for regular season, and you got playoff speed. And playoff speed is a whole different thing. Now, teams are playing with more urgency when you get into the playoffs. So you get down 14-0. Teams are doing everything in their possibility to keep that lead. And more importantly, it's not like there's nothing on the line here, okay? When there's nothing on the line and you the Los Angeles Rams and you go down 14-0, or I'll even put it in the San Francisco 49ers type of thing, last game of the season. They go down 17-3 early in that game, even late in the third quarter. You're looking at it like, well, we kind of playing with house money. Even though we got to get to the playoffs, we're playing just loose. You get to the playoffs, man, the urgency, everything gets higher, okay? So you get down 14 points, 17 points in the playoffs, chalk it up. It's probably a wrap for you. You're probably not coming back unless you're the Patriots in the Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons. It's not going to happen. So teams got to find ways to get that early lead. It goes back to the Raiders game, the opening game that we talked about today when I said, Derek Carr and the Raiders go down there. They're two first downs, man. 2 third-down conversions on passes, big third-down conversions. Things are clicking. And then you get an offsides on second down on Waller, completely shooting yourself in the foot, and you got to now settle for a third and kind of manageable third and longer rather than a third and short. You don't get it, and now you're settling for a field goal, and you're going up 3-0. 7 points in that game would have been critical to the Raiders. And in this game, I mean, it seemed like the Cardinals' offense never really got it going. I wrote down a note during the game here. With just over 7 minutes left in the game, the Cardinals had -1 total yards of offense. That you're not going to win games like that. And you quickly have to find a way to adjust. You know how we talk about halftime adjustments, especially when we talk about the New York Giants and we talk about the Washington football team. When it's playoff time, these are in-game adjustments that happen not only at the half. We're talking about drives, quarters, a couple of plays. You see something happen, you need to adjust quickly. And no, I saw Chris Sims saying this, right? He said, if you were the Cardinals coach up front, are you going to be able to run the ball against that front? Probably not.
It didn't look like it, no.
Right? So once that happens, you got to abandon that game plan. So now what are you going to do when you got to drop back and pass the ball every down, when you got guys coming at Kyler Murray's head every play? You knew that the pass protection was going to be a bit of an issue, so you should have tried to find some ways to be able to get the ball out of his hands quickly. Where were the stop routes, the hitches, the screens?
Chase Edmonds,
none of that.
in the flat.
None
you know
of
what I'm saying? None of that.
None of it. And I think it cost them the
weird.
game.
It did. I'm totally 100% agree. And it's unfortunate because I don't think this Cardinals team is a bad team. I don't think they're far off. I just think they need to work on some of the upfront issues offensively. And they just I'm still, my head's still trying to get wrapped around the opening Cliff Kingsbury's stat.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. He's lost at least 4 of his 6 last games. dating back to 2013 when he was a college coach. They have to address this and try to figure this out. Maybe get a guy in here that can help manage, just a little bit of game management late in the season. Or maybe he just doesn't know how to address depth. That could be another thing too.
Yeah, they're going to have to sit down at the table because I like where they are right now, but they have to make some changes to take it to the next level.
Yeah, I think that Rondale Moore is going to have to become a guy. He needs to elevate into a Jamar Chase or a CeeDee Lamb at bare minimum.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk, I like Christian Kirk, but when you put the pressure on him, multiple games to be the number one guy. Remember last week, he really showed up. He did his thing last week without DeAndre Hopkins in the lineup.
I mean, he was the best guy they had this game, but it just wasn't a lot. It wasn't enough. 6 catches, 51 yards.
When I look at the weapons, it's not enough over there. You got A.J. Green, who you know that kind of works well when you got DeAndre Hopkins on the field. But what do you do when somebody goes down and you have an injury that you're dealing with to one of your superstars here?
Yeah, I like to see Rondale Moore evolve. I would like to see that.
Imagine if Cooper Kupp went down for the Los Angeles Rams. You still got guys like Van Jefferson, OBJ, Tyler Higbee. These guys are all going to step up and be able to fill the shoes of a guy like Cooper Kupp, to an extent at least where your offense don't got to change their identity. When you don't have DeAndre Hopkins here, you got to find another identity. And I think that Kyler Murray is not the fantastic quarterback that people think he is, where like he can make things happen on his own. He needs a lot of help from wide receivers. He doesn't remind me of a guy like Josh Allen or a guy like Patrick Mahomes. I think he's a tier below that. I wouldn't even put him in a bubble of a guy like Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson's going to stand in the pocket tall and make throws. You rarely see that from Kyler Murray. He seems to always have to wheel out of the pocket and do a baseball throw to get the ball down the field. Even on the interception to the screen throw, looked like height was an issue. He quickly has to get that ball out, and then he kind of releases it kind of high. The ball's high.
He was very just. It was like he did one too many bumps. Like he just was just.
And that's what pressure will do to you, man. Like, look, even just playing ball at like OT, when we used to go play park football out there and play tackle football as grown men, which was silly in its own right? When I would play quarterback with no line. Dog, everybody's coming to come sack you, bro. You got to figure out a way to get the ball out of your hands quickly. And if you can't do that, then I'm sorry, you're not going to see a lot of success in the NFL. Things have to be able to process fast, and Kyler Murray seems to be a guy that, the game was just all moving a little bit too quick for him, and he became erratic under the pressure and really couldn't make the plays. You need somebody else to rely on when that happens to your quarterback, and I think guys like Drew Brees and, some of the other shorter quarterbacks who have had success, even look at Russell Wilson over there. Yeah, that offensive line is not great, but when you look at Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, in comparison to what he had on the field in this playoff game with Christian Kirk, A.J. Green, and Rondale Moore, like, come on, a shorter quarterback's not going to be able to get it done with those weapons.
Yeah, unless you're using your running backs, which they didn't do. So,
they definitely didn't do that. And the yards per carry didn't seem too crazy for James Conner and Chase Edmonds either. 4 for 19 is not terrible, and 8 for 28 is not terrible either. It's not that great, but it's not terrible either. You could have committed to the run a little bit more, but I'm telling you, man, as soon as he threw that pick six.
Even using those guys in the receiving game, though, that's what they did all year. I don't understand why they didn't. Chase Edmonds with 0 catches, though.
They tried to use them in the passing game a bit, but I'm telling you, when you got that pressure coming,
too much.
It's hard for your quarterback to try to be checking down. Just a simple check down for a guy like Kyler Murray is not easy.
Yeah.
If a defensive end gets a little bit of depth on your left tackle, and he's always throwing it sideways and doing things like that. He's not an over-the-top kind of thrower, so I think you're very limited at the quarterback position with him. I'm not going to say it reminds me of like Taylor Heineke in Washington, but it kind of does, because look, Taylor Heineke's not as elusive as a Kyler Murray, but maybe you got to find a way to maybe run some RPOs or something. Use this kid's legs. Like, try to treat him like Jalen Hurts a little bit, because look, Kyler Murray has a fantastic arm. Velocity. I mean, the kid can really throw the ball, but you have to open up the lanes for him to throw the ball. So maybe running some RPO, some read option, you get people to come up into the box a little bit, and you can make them pay with the quicker throw at the linebacker kind of depth range and maybe in the flats. But like,
changing. They got to change the playbook a little bit.
You got to change the playbook up, man.
They got to open it up a little bit more. Confuse
for
the
that quarterback. For that quarterback.
Yeah.
I think it was Nate. No, it wasn't Nate. It was Stan, who DM'd me the other day, and he asked me this. He was like, do you think it's more important to have a coach who finds personnel that fits his scheme or a coach who can adjust the scheme to the players? And I was like, man, that's a really hard question. Like, I really don't know, to be honest. I think coaches are good at it both ways. In this case, with Kyler Murray, you have to adjust the scheme to the player. That dude is lightning fast. He got out of some situations in that game where I was like, I did not think he was going to get out of that situation. And in others, he took the sack or he threw an interception or, he made a mistake. You got to find a way to adjust your game plan to this kid and make it beneficial for him, kind of like what the Baltimore Ravens have done with Lamar Jackson and kind of like what the Philadelphia Eagles have done with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. So Tampa Bay is going to have their hands full. It's going to be interesting to see how the health of that offensive line is, because if the Rams are coming into this game getting at Tom Brady like they did Kyler Murray, it's going to be very interesting.
And, I love the match.
Yes. So we're going to give Awthentik 1 second really fast. I'm going to take this off the screen. So big shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody who's watching us right now on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. We appreciate you guys stopping on by. BB Jones, it was a tough season, my man, but you guys did have a good season, and I think you guys have a bright future, so don't beat yourself up too bad over that Dallas Cowboys loss. Big shout-out. I don't have the soundbar with me, but I'll do the ding to Die Hard Giants fan for the $10 super chat. Says complete blowout on this one. Mad respect, guys. We appreciate you jumping in and checking us out. So we are waiting for Awthentik is bringing back the computer, so we'll be back up in a second. I just listen. I am counting down the days for the Washington football team name change, which should be is approaching soon. It's going to be 2/2/22. Also, do not forget that Awthentik is going to be live tonight on Bad Dogs channel at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be a fun show for sure. And when Awthentik gets back here, we're going to go over our overs and unders that we predicted last week. We did fairly well. Wasn't too bad. There were a couple of ones that were really close and a couple of ones that I definitely completely missed during this wild card weekend recap show here at Awthentik and The Beard. I'm just listen, these matchups that are hail to the Commanders, no Commanders, man, no Commanders. I was talking to my mom the other day. I told her the list of names that they were considering, and she said it's stupid. They're all stupid. Why don't they just stick with the Washington football team at this point? And that's kind of what you're looking for in the name change. But this upcoming weekend of playoff football is going to be pretty crazy. There's going to be some insane matchups. We will be live this Thursday previewing all of those games. But I think, that Tennessee-Cincinnati game is going to offer an opportunity for Cincinnati to get to the AFC Championship. I think the Kansas City-Buffalo game and the Tampa Bay-Rams game are going to be the premier games of the weekend. But don't sleep on that Green Bay-San Francisco game. I love Green Bay. Green Bay is kind of like my pick when the start of this postseason started as a team that was going to make the Super Bowl. But that San Francisco team is tricky, man. Defensively, Bosa, Fred Warner, he was a little banged up this last game, but then just the type of offense that they can get together with Debo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell, Brandon Ayuk, who was started the season, he was in the doghouse, and then now these last kind of few weeks, they've really unleashed him and brought him back out. So it's going to be an interesting weekend of football that is coming up. What type of beard wax do I use for my beard? I actually use a beard butter. Just hit me up on Twitter and I'll shoot
I
you
like
a
how
link
that went
to
a
my
little bit
beard
left.
butter.
I was listening, and then it's like, oh, what kind of beard wax do I use? I like that. Yeah, my Pro Tools crashed over here, man. It got a little extensive over here on the CPU and crashed. But I was listening from my phone. What I was going to say before I left was I like the matchup for the Rams to not go against the 49ers in this round, because the 49ers have owned them, obviously, since McVay has been over there. So I think that's a good matchup, man, to get the Bucs here in the next round. I think it'll yield well for the Los Angeles Rams.
So I was telling the good folks here at Awthentik and The Beard that we were about to go over these
Over-unders.
and unders.
Let's get it.
We predicted last week on our Thursday show, which was a ton of fun. Shout out to everybody in the chat who participated in that because we love when we have the opportunity to do those interactive shows with you guys. So we're looking forward to doing some more of that for the rest of this season. All right,
sure.
I have.
We had 10 of them, I believe.
Yes, because remember I had exactly 10 lines in my book. It's 1.
You did them in order, correct?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I did them in order. Yes.
All right, let's run through them then.
First
because I got
one
about
was-
a good 15 minutes here. I still got them up in the chat too, or in the brand. Here we go.
First one.
Jamar
is
Chase over
Jamar
85
Chase.
yards versus the Raiders. He did get over 85, right?
Yep, we both were check marks on that.
All right, that's a good look. That's a good look. So 1-1 to start. Josh Allen over 250 yards passing versus the Patriots.
I had under.
Ooh. 2-1 Authentic. We had
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes over 265 yards versus the Steelers.
I had under.
Ooh. You know I had over. I ain't even write them
Yes.
down. I just remember.
You did.
3-1 Authentic. Devonta Smith under 53.5 receiving yards. I picked the over on this one. What'd you pick?
I picked the under.
You picked the under.
Yeah.
That's
You
4-1
got
Authentic.
60 yards. That was the other ones where I wasn't close, but
Do
this
you
one was
remember
close.
what I said? I said I think he probably get like 3-4 catches for 60 yards. I think he had 4 catches for 60 yards. That's Devonta
exactly
Smith,
what it
man,
was.
in a nutshell, bro. Like, they don't
Yeah.
give him the high targets. Troy Aikman was complaining about it all game. Like, you
All
getting those
game.
one-on-one matchups,
He's
why aren't we
on the
throwing
outside.
him the ball?
Why don't they just giving them to him on the outside?
He was like, back when me and Michael Irvin used to play.
Yeah, he was like, if this was Michael Irvin, he'd have 100 yards already.
Right. And that's facts, man. You got to take advantage of that. And I just don't think that they have the quarterback situation over there to do it. But they got to find a way to be able to scheme Devonta Smith more targets for sure. So that's 4-1 Authentic. OBJ touchdown.
We both hit that one.
That's what I'm talking about, boy. Good
So
stuff.
that
A lot
is,
of people in the chat picked that too. Almost had
5-2. 5-2 now.
5-2. Dak Prescott over 275 yards passing. Where was he at? Just under, right?
Yeah, I picked the under. You picked the over. So now it's 5-3.
What did he end with? Let me go back.
I can tell you right now, it's on the banners. He ended with
254. God, Dak Prescott, man, he couldn't get one more damn throw.
Yep, that was.
Oh,
Well,
and
they
I know
tried,
I didn't get
but,
this one either. Jimmy G throws over 225 yards passing versus the Cowboys. Did I say over?
Nope, you said under.
Yes, because
I
my
said
gut told
over.
me I said over. Oh, man, the beard. Come on, bro. What's that, 6-3 now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6-3.
6-3 in favor of your boy. Tom Brady over 2 passing touchdowns versus the Eagles. Did he have? He had exactly 2, didn't he?
I took the push.
You took the push.
Yes, and you took the over.
I took the over, and he only had 2 exactly. All right, so that's 6-4.
Yep.
Shout out to Beard on that one. Good pick. I didn't get that one right. Jalen
I
Hurts
should get 2 points for that one.
will not throw in. I was going to give you half a point. You better take what you get. Jalen Hurts will not throw an interception versus the Bucs. I said he would, right?
Nope, you said he would not. I said he would.
Why did I do that? Why
I
did
don't
I
know.
do that? All right, so 6-5.
5.
Ooh, coming down to the wire here. And the last one was Cooper Kupp over 100 receiving yards. We both picked over, right?
Remember, I was under, and then everybody in the chat, and you convinced me to go over.
Don't blame this on us.
You should see it's like crossed out down here, under and then over written over.
Let me see. Let me make sure
Right
the
there.
evidence is. Oh, yep. Yep. You write like a third grader.
It's called journalistic shorthand, my friend.
I like that.
So
I like
we
that.
both missed on that one. So Authentic did take
Left
the
side
victory.
is the strong side today.
6-5 in the over/under matchup.
That's
That
what's
was a lot
up,
of
man.
fun, man.
We got to do that. Make sure y'all tune in on Thursday. We're going to be doing the exact same thing, man. We're going to do at least 10 over-unders. I know y'all enjoyed that. I definitely enjoyed it a lot, too. Waterfly said, blame in the chat. Come on, bruh.
I love y'all. Y'all know that.
Nah, y'all know what it is, though, man. It's pushing 9:20 right now. I'm going to be on Bad Dog's channel here, pushing around 10 o'clock. I think he said maybe 9:45. So we definitely got to end the show a little bit short here. You know, not your normal 3 hours you get on Awthentik and The Beard. We're going to give you 2 hours, 18 minutes today, man. This was a jam-packed show. Let me see some biceps in the chat for your boy on the left side. I don't know about the strong side today. I took the strong side down. Left side in the building. Maybe we go.
Strong side still here.
We're gonna do it like a concert where we make people pick what side they want. Left side, strong side. We're gonna see who's gonna win these over-unders next show on Thursday. But I'm definitely looking forward to it, man. If y'all got any over-unders y'all want to suggest for the show, I forget who it was last show that was giving us a bunch during the show. But tag us on Twitter. No, it wasn't Waterfly. It was somebody else who, like, every time we did one, they adjusted it. I think it was somebody that was on, like, Twitch or something like that. I forget who it was.
No, I can't remember who it was. Was it Kai?
I kind of thought it was Kai, but
it was a newer face.
It was a newer subscriber. I remember. I can't remember exactly who it was, but shout out to you, whoever that was. And if you want to add some over-unders for our Thursday show for the divisional round, make sure to tag us on Twitter. We'll definitely highlight those on the show, man. Any way to make this, interactive for y'all is a blessing for us for sure. We definitely appreciate y'all supporting us, since day one and through the playoffs, especially without now no NFC East teams left in the playoffs. So everybody is here just supporting Die Hard, holding us down. We definitely appreciate that. 100, man. The Beard, any words before we get up out of here, man, and close this one out?
Nah, man, just big shout out to everybody. We appreciate all the love, all the support. And just do me a favor and go show some biceps on Bad Dog's chat for Mr. Awthentik. Bad Dog's an awesome content creator, great guy, great channel.
Yes, he is.
I always have, every time I've ever had a chance to be on screen with him, we've always had really interesting conversations because he watches a lot of other sports too, so it's always fun to chat with him. So I'm super stoked for Awthentik to go hold down the AATB family on Bad Dog's channel. But it'll be interesting because I know the Giants Nation's got a lot to talk about. That's one thing you never have to worry about with Giants Nation, and that's running out of things to talk about. So big shout out to everybody in the chat. We appreciate all the love, all the support, man. And don't forget to tune in on Thursday night. It's going to be fun, over, under, and interactive with the people in the chat, the family.
Yeah, man, it's going to be fire. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Again, man, we appreciate all of y'all pulling up. Nobody here is a fan. Everybody is fam. Anybody new who tuned in today, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We got a goal we're trying to hit by the end of the season here. We'll see how things go, man. But as always, we really appreciate y'all pulling up for us, man. This is our 75th show, I believe, of the season, man. So we've been grinding. We've been putting in a lot of work, and we appreciate y'all pulling up in the chat. You know what it is, man. Just want to send another blessing to the homie Cernox Connection, man. I know he's dealing with some hardship right now, man. So we sending positive vibes your way, my brother. And to everybody in the chat, all the fam, y'all know what it is, man. Keep raising that bar. Keep living those dreams, man. Ain't nobody else gonna live your dream for you, bro. You gotta live that for yourself, man. You know what it is. Use each day as a platform to just get better. And that's what we trying to do over here at Awthentik and The Beard. Y'all know what it is, man. Every episode, we're gonna try to just raise the bar. More nuggets, man. 20-piece, 40-piece, 60-piece nuggets all day. Y'all know what it is, man. We got big love for y'all. Salute to the fam in the chat. Y'all be good, man. We will see y'all on Thursday, 7 p.m. Same place, same time. Y'all know what it is, man. Left side, strong side. Peace. Peace, y'all.